The show is about to begin.
Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-hosts, John Luke Garofalo and Andrew Cooper. What's up, boys?
What up?
Sadu.
Sadu.
Dude.
Yeah. Yo, Simon, I gotta say, you have an excellent hat collection. One of the better ones, but I consider the hat you're wearing right now to be the classic Simon hat. I don't know if you guys feel differently, but I think when I see that hat, I think Simon.
You know, this is one of the two most recent additions to my hat collection.
Truly?
And I'm picky when it comes to hats. I have an oddly shaped head. It is ginormous, and a lot of hats don't fit on it well. This one, Coop, I agree with you. Has very quickly become like my favorite hat.
A nice
collection.
fit.
I love this one.
You say you're picky about hats, but you just kind of wore a hat that you got for free at a wedding the other day. So I mean,
that's true. How picky
maybe
can
not
you be?
the most picky. Yeah,
beggars can't be choosers in a place where there's only one hat available. You take what you can get, right?
Yeah,
I guess so. I always think of the Cox hat or the Spurs hat or that.
Oh yeah, the Spurs hat. Actually, yeah, most of your hats. In fact, that hat that you got at the wedding that you wore that day, it fit so well on you that it felt like a hat that you've had for a long time.
It's your signature hat. That's my signature hat. The one with the Finland and American flag on it just encapsulates me as a person. Jill, did you say the Cox hat?
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
The Cox hat. It's the Cox hat that you love.
I'm a Clemson fan, Jill. We went there together, not a Gamecocks fan.
I know, man. You got a Cox hat. It's a great Cox hat.
Oh,
everybody knows it's Cox hat.
Oh, the one that says OAX, not COX.
Yes.
Gotcha. We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Maria in here with the one. She was in here first. What's up, Maria? Welcome in. And Tommy said day one of the show was back in September. Holy crap. It's the 1st of December. It is the 1st of December, episode 69 of the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show.
Nice. Yeah, about
on a Thursday, no less. Shout out Troy King and Thursday
mode.
TK mode on a Thursday, show 69. I see we got a new game on the show sheet. Brand new.
We got more than one.
Fill in the holes. So it's gonna be one of those days.
One of those days. Tune in. Fill in the holes.
Hey, all right.
Yeah. Where are your holes, Jam? Welcome.
Wow, this goes on
Front Yard Fantasy Morning. Oh, my sultry voice head's there. Then.
It's like a Wizard of Oz moment.
We're getting nasty this morning.
Speak. Right before I say, hi, JL's mom, welcome into the show. JL's mom says she's the best about Maria. And Tommy said, Maria, you are always number one. You know what? Tommy took the aggressive approach earlier this week of, I'm always the best in the chat. Bring it, Simon's mom and Maria. And now he's taking the other approach.
You know who I think the best is? Illmind Jedi. Coming in with the what's up, fellas, on the YouTube.
What up, Jedi?
Stream.
Good morning.
Jedi. How we doing?
Good morning, Jedi. Glad to have you in here. Guys, it is that time of morning where I hope everyone in the chat brought their own breakfast. We got everything else for you. We got the news. We got the stories, but it is BYOB. Bring your own breakfast. And the first story I wanted to bring up, I'm starting us off today. Patrick Peterson on his podcast. Did you guys see this?
No.
Yes.
He was talking about Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. And he said, Kyler Murray don't care about nobody but Kyler Murray. Whenever he was asked about his former teammate, since they're always in the news. And Kyler Murray clapped back a little bit on Twitter, said, this isn't true. You want some weird shit, Peterson. You got my number. If you really felt this as a big bro or mentor, you're supposed to call me and tell me, not drag me so your podcast can grow.
Oh, snap.
Damn, bro.
That is wild. I like to think that this isn't even about football at all, but it's about like something that happened in Call of Duty, right? Where it's like
he accidentally like got him with friendly fire.
Now kept stealing my kills. Feelings. Yeah, they were playing they were playing like Rocket League. It's like Kyler kept at the very end, just tipping in the goals and stealing all the goals. Right?
It was like bouncing. It's about to go in,
and he just comes in, just comes
barreling in and
swoops in. Yeah, I think that's actually probably what this is. It's probably what it's really about, knowing these dudes. Yeah, but harsh words, man. Usually you don't hear a lot of that, dude. And the thing is, if you sometimes with this stuff, it's like, oh, okay, it's a soundbite or whatever. I went back and listened to that section. He literally stops like joking around, slows down what he's saying to make sure he doesn't mince his words and drags Kyler. So this is not like some offhand compliment, like offhand remark,
compliment.
Like he backhand compliment. Yeah, he really stopped to make sure he was not misheard here. So he meant what
this
he said.
Wasn't a backhanded insult.
No. Yeah.
He
really takes care of himself by only caring about himself. No, it was not something like that. It was
He's selfish
not like
and healthy.
I feel like Kyler gets a lot of flack in the media usually. You know what I mean? I feel like he is not the media darling. He's said some things that have pissed people off. People aren't often on his side, but man, dude sounds right here in his response. Know what I mean? Like, like if this guy's supposed to be a mentor to him, I'm fully on Kyler's side here. Like, yo, don't call me out publicly. Reach out to me. Like, we can talk about this. That's that's the way you handle it.
Why else? Like, what other incentive does Patrick Peterson have to go on that show and drag Kyler, apart from just either being mad or doing what Kyler said and just trying to get just create some smoke?
That's exactly what it is. Drag me so your podcast can grow. He didn't mince words in that response. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Drag.
I will say that, and I mentioned this before, but our own Corey Parson on this show was saying that from the beginning, the things that he saw, he was like, this guy would be the first. Then when they say leaders eat last, this guy would be the first in the chow line. That's what Corey Parson said, and everything I see starting to indicate that Corey was right. So shout out Corey, 3:00 show with Nando. He was on top of this from the start, and it doesn't sound great as of now. I mean, he's still a young kid, so plenty of time to change his ways, but he should probably listen to what Pat Peterson's saying.
They're saying him and Cliff figured it out, though. That him and Cliff sat down, multi-week process, and talked it out, and that they're on the same page now, which maybe not a good thing if your quarterback and your coach have to have like a multi-week healing process to like get back on the same page, but positive progress. We're moving the right direction.
I feel like Kyler is fine. He's a talented young player.
Yep.
I don't know. I just feel like the expectation that these players come in like fully emotionally mature with leadership skills and really good at football and no experience is asking a lot. So I'm not too worried about Kyler. He seems like a fine dude. Maybe a little selfish, but who wouldn't be as a star, young early 20s,
amazing
football, baseball, amazing at Call of Duty.
Lamar Jackson,
MLG.
Yeah. So I don't know, but we'll see, man. He's got to mature at some point, though. That seems to be on the table. I want to get
soon. He'll be just like Russell Wilson.
Completely normal and well balanced.
That's right. It's just completely normal.
Yeah. I will say for Russell Wilson, he came out, defended himself yesterday. Bit of while we're doing news and while we're on that topic, he came out and essentially said that I've got a bunch of great relationships in this locker room. Not going to let somebody come, somebody from the outside come and try and get in between those because you can't. So, he's basically coming out and saying that, hey, I have friends. I got friends.
I got friends, guys.
So
this sounds like him saying like you'll never come between us feels like a really strong statement for people that he's known for less than a year. Like maybe he met them before, you know what I mean? But like it's not like this is like a forged in fire team. This was a complete team that they plugged Russell Wilson into. Do you think he's maybe overestimating some of these relationships in the locker room?
Perhaps. I mean, it's Russell Wilson, dude. Like I'm sometimes with guys like that, like the running for president all the time type guys, he probably showed up and thought that was going to be automatic. And for some of those people, it probably was, but he's definitely got some. I mean, clearly, based on what we've seen, he's got some relationships to earn still.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Seattle for a long time. It's probably a lot easier when you're there that long. You come into Seattle while it's Russell Wilson's team, and everybody knows it's Russell Wilson, right? He's got like his pattern, he's got his guys, he's got his support network. Goes into an entirely new team and has to build that stuff up again. And maybe he doesn't not as good at that as we thought.
When he comes in
blindfolded with a sledgehammer and to try to build it, though, like that's what's going on.
That's a good point, JL, though, because like with his old team, when he comes in wearing his own jersey, like throwing air punches, saying "Let's ride," like he had Tyler Lockett there to turn to when the young wide receivers are like, "What the hell is going on?" He had Tyler Lockett to be like, "Don't worry, he does that.
This is just Russ. He's weird.
It's kind of weird, but the dude can throw a heck of a deep ball. So you just relax." Like with the new team, he doesn't have, you know what I mean? He doesn't have Tyler Lockett there to be like, "Don't worry about that, dude. He does that, but this guy's amazing." Right. It's like,
dude, so I think we just unlocked it here, Coop, because all the Broncos got to do, go trade for Tyler Lockett. Boom. Bingo, bango. Problem solved.
Tyler Lockett, who's equally weird. I mean,
equally weird.
Hey, I don't know if he's disrespect Tyler. I don't know if he's fully weird.
Open mic poetry. I have nothing but respect for him.
Open mic poetry. Also, I know it's a religious thing, but saving yourself for marriage thing, where still a virgin. I think he's like 30 something now. I don't know. Good for him.
I did not know that about him. That's funny.
I thought there was going to be a comment on that besides it just being that Coop goes, different.
Different.
I don't know. You know what? Hey, you know what though? It's like, that's what your religion dictates. Then who am I to say that's not the way to do it? I just, if I wasn't, I'd probably be doing a little more like the way DK Metcalf does it.
Also saving himself for marriage.
Yeah, exactly. Dude. Not from the text messages I've seen.
Bleacher Report tweeted out yesterday, Russell Wilson's wife Sierra threw him a birthday party yesterday, and about half the team attended.
Yeah, you saw my comments on that one, JL, right?
Yeah.
Gardner Minshew throws a party, everybody showing up. Players from other teams are showing up. You know what I mean? Like, if Sierra throws a party and I would just go to a party. Like if it was any other team and Sierra threw a party, every member of the team would be there. I just feel like Sierra. We're talking like a mega pop star. Like obviously I'm going, dude. Like if I hate Russ, I'll go. Just try and see what kind of friends she has, right?
Yeah, exactly. If I could become president.
Exactly.
See if I could take her friends.
Bingo, right? So yeah, that's the way that's got to go. So I mean, I don't know. We really can't judge it until we find out how many people went to every other quarterback's birthday party.
Yeah, we need a baseline,
Well, you got to put it into an Excel here.
Maybe half of the team is good. Maybe that's a good turnout. Who knows?
So we know that.
The bottom.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like there's a half of the team that shows up and Russ is like, oh, shit.
Dang it.
Like,
it's all
these.
It's all the special teams. It's special teams again.
Well, special teams and linebackers only. What the hell happened?
The defense didn't show up to the party. They're a bit too busy showing up to the games. The offense has plenty.
That's
of time.
Exactly what they told Russ.
The offense has plenty of time to
can't come to your birthday. Too busy.
Now
carrying you on my back.
Besides Gardner Minshew, obvious choice. What other quarterback do you think would throw a heck of a party? And you can retired quarterbacks count too. So if you want to go with obviously Blake Bortles.
Oh man, Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel party would be awesome. I know Vince Young threw like a $500,000 birthday party at like Applebee's or whatever it was, not at Applebee's, but Vince Young. I remember reading that when they were going through his like bankruptcy stuff, it came out that like he borrowed money for this like $500,000 birthday party that he did.
Oh my God. Yeah. Took out a loan for a birthday.
Yeah. Not great.
I feel like Peyton Manning would throw a really nice adult birthday party.
Yeah. Gardner Minshew's party wouldn't even have food. You know what I mean? It would just be like a red
jungle juice. Straight jungle juice.
Yeah. Yeah. Peyton's would be nice and classy. There would be like a chocolate fondue fountain, maybe. Right.
That'd be hilarious. Yeah, chocolate fondue, sweaters, lots of Argyle.
You get a sweater at the door.
And then you get one as you leave too. So you leave with 2 sweaters.
Yeah, well, because the party's in like July, so the sweater you wear during the party,
yeah, it's for
you need a different one for the way out. Well, he's thinking about that stuff though,
Yeah, I see Steven Drake's in the chat. Said, I have Stevenson, but is Myers a safe play tonight? Don't really want to play Pittman this week. Good morning, Steven. What do you think, Coop? Are you playing Myers?
Yeah, I'll tell you, boys. I mean, Patriots in my squad. They're wearing the throwbacks tonight. Never lost in the throwbacks, so they're going to put them to the test against a serious team. And I'm actually going to be at the game myself. Going to have boots on the ground at this point tonight. Yeah, well, because we work on Sunday, right? Like you can't go to a 1:00 game when you're a fantasy analyst because then you miss.
You miss too much. Right? Yeah. And, you can't even enjoy it because you're just sitting there like it's too much going on.
Right. That limits us to like Thursday, the Sunday night game, or the Monday games. But Sunday often I do stuff too. Like I'm going to jump on with Brian Drake this week. So Thursday games I can go to. I'm going to go to this one. So to answer your question, I think Myers is a safe play. Stevenson, you obviously play because Damien Harris is out. I think Myers is a fairly safe play because it matches up well with what the Bills don't do well. So they have Matt Milano. He's probably going to take care of Hunter Henry. That's going to be a tough matchup. They have guys on the outside like Trey White that are going to be problematic for Devontae Parker. I think Jacoby Myers is a guy that can slip through the cracks, and the Bills probably don't. They're not going to care as much about him dinking and dunking and doing what he does. So I think you're going to get a typical Jacoby Myers game. So if you play full PPR and want to make sure you lock in some decent points, get Myers in there. I think the floor for him is probably 5 for 40. You know what I mean? He's going to catch balls.
I think I'd roll Pittman out there, even with the matchup against Dallas. It's not like Dallas is a shutdown matchup. They're a high risk, high reward matchup with how they generally play. So I'm gonna roll Pittman out there. I feel a little bit more comfortable with him. I know we just saw a stinker from Matt Ryan in this Colts offense, but hopefully we get a bounce back game from them.
It's a floor versus upside. So the question he had is, do you think Myers is a safe play? I do. I think Pittman is the higher upside play, like Simon says? Absolutely. So I would kind of look at your matchup, figure out what you need.
John Luke, which way would you be rolling?
I agree with that assessment completely. I'm with you guys.
Wow, look at that.
Here it is.
We agree. You guys, we would all go to each other's birthday parties.
Yeah, we would,
dude. No question. Hey,
every single one of us.
Want to get some? We like to mess around on this show. We like to be silly. So I want to get some serious news out of the way real quick. I don't even think we really want to delve into it, but we're gonna bring you the news on the show no matter what it is. So gonna give you this real quick, and then we'll move on to fun stuff. But you guys saw what happened with John Kitna's son at Florida.
No, I did not.
You did not. Okay. So yesterday, Jalen Kitna, he goes to the University of Florida. He was arrested yesterday on multiple counts of child pornography.
Jesus.
He sent 2 pictures on Discord. Somebody reported him immediately. They went to arrest him. They found 3 more pictures on his personal computer. So he's obviously immediately suspended from the team. Isolated incident, didn't involve other teammates, and that's going to be dealt with. But, that's news that's going around. I don't think it's appropriate to joke about. I don't think, even if you're a rival fan of Florida, I don't think you should be joking with Florida fans about it. It's serious stuff. But former NFL quarterback John Kitna, that's his son. So something we got to talk about on the show, and we should probably just move right along to something a little more fun. But we got to bring the news, right, people?
Asshole. Not you. The guy in Florida.
I feel like an asshole talking about it, but it's like we have to talk about it. We have to mention the news. It's like we can't just skip major football news on the show,
Absolutely.
So, on to the next one.
Our friend Jeff Bell pointed something out on Twitter yesterday that I saw the tweet and I had to go look it up. I was like, there's no way, right? There's no way that's actually true. But it is. In week 12, Russell Wilson, out of the 32 teams that played in the NFL, there are only 32 NFL teams, was the 33rd ranked quarterback in fantasy football during week 12 as a starting quarterback for the entire game for the Denver Broncos. He had the 33rd most points at the quarterback position.
That's legendary. And the best part, Nathaniel Hackett's old team, the Packers, had 2 quarterbacks that were ahead of Russell Wilson.
Jordan Love barely beat him out by like 0.4 points, but he got him.
But he beat him out.
He also barely played. You know what I mean? So, Tua played like only the first half and threw like 300 yards. So, that's pretty rough, dude. That's a great tweet by Jeff Bell. Jeff Bell is he is a master. He's the master of stirring the pot in a way that makes you like want to type something, and then you're sitting there and you're like, I
can't.
I don't even want to get involved most times. I'll DM him, but I'll just be like, you gotta.
Love Jeff. I see Britt Flynn in the chat said, "Morning, boys. Morning, Britt. Glad to have you in here."
What up, Britt?
Britt Flynn, famous fantasy alarm analyst on the Lightning Round podcast. And breaking a little news here. The Howard Bender is going to be without his co-host Jim Bowden. He's going on a little vacation. So he decided to take the Women of Fantasy Football show, which is a fantasy alarm show, and have some guest co-hosts next week. And of course, the one and only Britt Flynn, the host of that show, is going to be co-hosting the Sirius XM Fantasy Alarm show with Howard Bender on Monday.
Oh,
big time. Yeah. So that's going to be fun. Make sure you tune into that. Check that out. It's going to be a good time, y'all, because Britt is the coolest. And Howard Bender is Howard Bender. I mean, is there a nicer dude in this industry?
Britt's the coolest. Like, Howard Bender's he's himself.
Howard Bender is Howard Bender, and Howard Bender is the coolest. You know what I mean? It's
the first time I met Howard Bender in person, it was just like I just wanted to like hug him and not let go. He was so kind and welcoming to like everyone around him. He made everyone in the room feel comfortable. And I was like, that man is just comfort personified walking around.
Yeah, he's the
comfort personified.
He really is, though, man. He's the champ. He tells you how it is, and everything the guy says is hilarious. So definitely make sure you check that out on Monday. Britt, I forgot what time it was because I'm a terrible friend. So if you're still in the chat hanging out, type what time it is in there. We'll shout it out for you. But that'll be a good time.
Craig in here had a question for us. He said, blueberry pancakes or peanut butter Captain Crunch? Which do you want for breakfast this morning, fellas? John,
is it real blueberries? Because if that's the case, then I'm going with the cereal. Sorry.
Like the artificial ones in the syrup for me.
What a turn, dude. What a turn. Blueberry pancakes for sure, Maria. 100%, dude. Captain Crunch? Are you kidding me? You're going to destroy your mouth with that nonsense and your stomach. Eat some blueberry pancakes like an adult.
Here's what I'm getting blueberry pancakes, and then when Craig's not looking, I'm grabbing the box of peanut butter Captain Crunch and sprinkling it on top of the syrup-covered blueberry pancakes, and it's going to be delicious.
Wow, dude, is this an episode of Chopped?
I have always told, like, my girlfriend knows that for my 30th birthday, I got 2 more years, but my dream is I want a full Chopped birthday party, and I don't want it to be half-assed. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be in my kitchen. I want to be in like a professional kitchen with judges, boxes prepared, and me and 3 of my best buds are up there actually competing in an episode of Chopped with no formal cooking training whatsoever. And then everyone else, all my other friends are there to judge the foods. They get to eat them as well. And we have to do like an actual episode of Chopped.
Is Tim any good at cooking?
No.
Because I don't know.
One time I watched him. One time I watched him make an oven in the pizza. That's not how it works. Make a pizza in the oven. Impressive. He made a pizza in the oven. And he goes to open the door to take his pizza out. Somehow the pizza had fallen onto the door of the oven and just completely caught on fire. So he opens it. There's flames, and he just shuts it and turns around and looks at me. Like he just slams the oven shut, turns around and looks at me. And I was like, well, you're going to have to deal with that one, Tim. Like there's a fire in our oven.
That's hilarious.
But you know who would be great on that is, do you guys know Wyatt from JWB football?
Oh, I know Wyatt.
Yeah, dude, that dude can cook. I've seen that guy post some stuff, share in the chat, some really interesting stuff. So he's the guy from the fantasy community I would throw up on Chopped. Anybody else from the community that you think would be good competitors for you on your Chopped birthday?
Like actual competitors?
Or are we going to mock people?
Like people that would be good. People from the community that you think would actually whatever you think. How about Luke Sawhook? Luke Sawhook to make
Dave is always posting like all these different unique ingredients. Like I feel like Toronto Dave has a good understanding of how to use a lot of different ingredients because he's always like shopping for the different stuff at the international grocery stores, and he's got a good collection of ingredients and of knowledge around those ingredients. So I think Dave would show up and kind of kill it, kind of crush it at Chopped.
But they would have to let you in because it's your birthday, or everyone would have to lie and say your stuff tastes good.
It's true. That's true. Yeah, either one or the other. And if you play future, you're out. You're kicked off out of the birthday.
Yeah, Sierra's invited to my 30th birthday party, of course.
Naturally.
Russell Wilson eating his burrito.
Yeah. There's me, two of my closest friends, and Russell Wilson as the 4 competitors at my 30th birthday party for Chopped. That's what I want.
There's some good barbecue people within the fantasy community, but I'm not sure how good they'd be on Chopped. Like Tommy Moe, Heath Cummings. I've seen.
I'm trying to make a brisket in 30 minutes. Good luck.
Make a brisket from without brisket. That's like what Chopped to be.
We got a question in here from Steven, a super chat. Thank you so much, my friend Steven. We really appreciate it.
We appreciate you, Steven. Good morning.
He said, would you drop James Robinson for Jordan Mason? And also, how do you feel about picking up Warren and Knight? Thanks, fellas. So let's start with that first one. Coop, would you drop James Robinson to pick up Jordan Mason? Or are you holding on to James Robinson?
So with the recent news, I'm not sure that Michael Carter might not even miss time at all. Or that if he is going to miss time, it might just be this week. I'm not really sure I love James Robinson or Zonovan Knight as much as we thought we did. I think of that crew, the guy I like best right now is Jaylen Warren. He's back at practice. He's already kind of carved out himself a little bit of a role. I know Najee Harris says he's going to try and play through this injury or compete to play, but I don't know. With that sports hernia stuff, it can go the other way pretty quick. I don't know. How do you guys feel? Anytime it's a 49ers RB in the mix, there's hope there because it's hot hand Shanahan. So Jordan Mason, you can't just rule the guy out, but they do have a lot of guys over
there.
Yeah. James Robinson being a healthy scratch last week is a bit baffling to me. If they're not, like, why did they trade for him? Right? What's the point of trading for him if you're not going to really use him? Is this a James Robinson thing? Is this a lack of talent? Is this just like getting used to the system? It's very unclear, which makes me very, very not confident to have him on my lineup. Mason, I don't really see as that high of upside. I'd probably rather have James Robinson just in case they start to work him in. They get some sunk cost fallacy. They've traded for him to try and start working him in, but I don't know. That is a tough one.
I think Jaylen Warren's the clear priority pickup from this group.
Yes.
Like you said, Coop, he already has a role, regardless of if Najee is playing or not. So there's some standalone value. And then we know how the Steelers team likes to operate, right? They generally prefer to feed one back. Warren's already got the trust of the coaching staff. If Najee Harris misses any time, you've got a workhorse back in Jaylen Warren. I'm not sure any of these other guys have that kind of upside. Zonovan Knight, even if he's going to be the first and second down back, Ty Johnson or Michael Carter, if he's healthy, are going to be that third down back. So there's upside in picking up Knight and Mason, but not the same kind of upside as you have with Jaylen Warren, and definitely not the same level of security and some sort of production.
Now, as far as the healthy scratch for James Robinson, the trade was a conditional pick, and the conditions are if he runs for 260 yards while on the Jets, then it goes from being a 6th round pick to being a 5th round pick. He's at 75 yards now, so there is an incentive for them to keep him under 260 yards. If they can.
Interesting. Interesting. That is actually a very interesting data point.
Could be.
I didn't know that.
It's very rare to see a team like hold a guy back on purpose like that. But the thing is, it doesn't affect James Robinson. That's why it's not as bad, right? Like if it's so a lot of times with these where it's like if they get so many yards, they get an extra $1 million. They help those guys get those incentives. In this case, James Robinson doesn't care whether it's a 5th or 6th round pick himself, right? So maybe he's on board with saving the wear and tear and getting ready for next year.
Yeah, maybe they're maybe that actually makes a lot more sense than them trading for him and then not playing him, right? Is like maybe this is a move of like, listen, we're gonna use a 6th round pick. Like, are we gonna get someone as talented as James Robinson? Right. Might as well just get James Robinson for next year.
Get it, and then make sure that 6 doesn't turn into a 5th.
Right. Or worst case scenario, like let's say Michael Carter goes down and someone else goes down, then they can throw James Robinson in if they need to. And then sure, maybe at that point, they're still in playoff contention. It makes sense for them to go from 6th to 5th.
Craig in here saying it is the NFL. Things don't have to make sense. That is also true. Because you know what the NFL is run by? People
Lizards
run the NFL, and lizards run the teams. And when people and lizards together control something, it never quite makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
Tommy had a question
the
for
government.
What? Run by lizards. Well, yeah, there's no people in the government though, Coop. It's all lizards. So it's a little bit more clear over there. And Britt said, rats run the city. JL can confirm, right, JL?
That is true. Rats do run the city. Pretty sure they've taken up residence underneath my AC unit in my backyard. So that's pretty fun. It's a fun problem I get to deal with.
Good spot for him.
Yeah.
Tommy in here had a question for you, Coop. Wants to know who is the RB2 tonight behind Stevenson going into this Patriots-Bills game? Who's the next guy up?
So I haven't seen, they have a couple guys they like to elevate from time to time, but I haven't seen any word that they're going to bring up any other guys. So I think it's going to end up being Pierre Strong, the rookie that they drafted, solid pass catching back, drafted in the 4th round. They also have another guy, Kevin Harris, which they cut him. They drafted in the 6th round, cut him early in the season, brought him back. Those are going to be the guys that are active. I think you're going to see a lot of Rhamondre Stevenson, and then Pierre Strong is just going to mix in on a couple pass plays. So if you're looking for the crazy dart throw showdown pick for tonight, I would go with Pierre Strong.
That's what Tommy just said. DFS value potentially for Pierre Strong.
Pierre Strong also was the guy who essentially lost the game versus the Vikings, where he was the guy who ran into the punter for almost no reason on Thanksgiving night. So maybe he might be in the doghouse a little bit. That was a really bad play. That was completely unnecessary. So but at least brutal. He has a role. Like he's out there, at least playing special teams, and he'll definitely get mixed in a little bit. But yeah, that was real bad. I was pretty upset.
Tommy said he is $300 on, I don't know if that's DraftKings or FanDuel's, but
on the DraftKings showdown slate, I think that's the bare minimum price. The bare minimum is either 200 or 300, but that means he's legitimately free. So if you're going to mix somebody in from that Patriots group, he'd probably be the guy.
Then you can get a little sexy elsewhere if that's what you got.
A little nasty.
Jill, Illmind Jedi in here with some news that you're probably happy about. He said, I see that Dobbins is expected to return soon after finally attending practice. So he was back at practice, and Illmind saying, I need him to save my season. Mr. Boots on the ground in Baltimore, king of the rats. What say you about the return of J.K. Dobbins?
It's great. As soon as he's back, he assumes that number 1 role again. He's clearly the best, the most talented, the most handsome on that team, at least amongst the running backs. I'm with you. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I have J.K. Dobbins in a few dynasty leagues, and I need him to come back for a late season surge here. We also get, just on a less fantasy perspective here, Kyle Hamilton and Ronnie Stanley back on the Ravens side, which is huge.
Yeah, Ronnie Stanley, man. Monster.
I'd be nervous about J.K. Dobbins' first game back because they have Gus Edwards and they love Gus Edwards. So this is one of those players, like first week back, I'm going to try to avoid because I don't think they have any purpose to rush him back into a full workload because of how much they like Gus. And Coop, you brought it up before. All Gus has ever done in the NFL is be a great running back. Like that's it.
That's why they paid him, man. Over 5 yards a carry for his career, which like
absurd.
When you said it to like guys that have had over 400 carries, it's like only 5 guys. And it's like Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders, and of course Gus Edwards.
Yes, of course, Gus Edwards.
Of course, Gus Edwards.
Elite running back Gus Edwards.
And once Tony Pollard hits 400, I think he'll be in that group too. I'm not sure if he's there or not yet, but pretty good company. Yeah.
I think they still like J.K. Dobbins, even like when J.K. Dobbins and Gus said, I haven't fact checked this. I'll go back and look, but even when they're both playing, I think they still prefer Dobbins. Gus Edwards is more of a, focus whenever Dobbins is out or not there. But yeah, I see what you guys say. And I think they'll still work him in, especially if, J.K. Dobbins, man, like I think injury prone is made up, but that guy just keeps getting hurt.
But he is so good. He's so fun to watch, man. Like
he is.
When he's at full strength, that guy can break a touchdown at any moment. Like there's a crazy number where like they call a breakaway run any run that's over 20 yards, and something like over 30% of his carries are breakaway run plays. Like he's just
super efficient.
Yeah, crazy, man. Really exciting. So
Tommy in here saying, why do I see JL in tights like the Pied Piper leading the rats out of the city? Yeah.
God. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know why you see that, man. Just ask the doctor.
Say, ask your doctor. Yeah, Tommy, bring that one to your therapist.
This is therapy.
Every time I close my eyes, Doc, there's this morning show I watch, and one of the guys on there, I just see him in nothing but tights with a stream of rats while he plays the flute. Is that normal? Can you check that out for me? Can you check that out for me,
Doc?
Doc?
I end up on a list. Eric Trin in the chat. PPR, trusted my gut with Jacobs. Would you start him if he's limited again this week? If not, would you start Rashad White or Jalen Warren with Najee questionable? Simon, if Jacobs is playing but questionable, start him, or would you go with Rashad White?
Start Josh Jacobs.
You got it, dude.
Start. I'm not. Yeah. Last week, Coop, you talked about Mpemba saving you. Last week, I told someone to start James Conner over Josh Jacobs. I said, I think Jacobs is the better play. But with this uncertainty, if you've got another top 12 guy, you can start that top 12 guy over him. And again, that's the process. I'm not mad about that, but I'm not playing that game again. We saw what he did being limited last week, right? Coming off an injury. The dude had over 300 all-purpose yards. Absolutely absurd. He would have been the top running back on the week before the 86-yard touchdown run in overtime, and he did it anyways. So I'm not taking Jacobs out. He's one of the few workhorse backs. You play him every single week.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, back to news. Got some important news from Dallas Goedert. He said that he didn't want to go on the IR. They put him on the IR. Did you hear his explanation as to why he should not have gone on the IR?
No, I did not. So
Dallas Goedert said, I didn't want to go on the IR because I've got a special human power. He said, I've got psoriasis. You guys know what that is? It makes me like Deadpool. I can get stabbed and it heals right back up.
I don't think I'm not a medical doctor. And I'm not an expert in psoriasis. But something tells me that is not what it's going to say on Google when I Google what is psoriasis. I don't think it's going to say you turn into Deadpool. I'm not positive, but I'm like 99% sure that he's misleading me here.
I don't know, man. I kind of trust Goddard.
I believe him.
Oh, you know what?
With a quote being published in Sports Illustrated, if it wasn't true.
This is kind of like Deadpool. It almost says that exactly. It says, a condition in which skin cells build up and form scales and itchy dry patches. The superpower, psoriasis. That's what it says. Nothing about healing after you've been stabbed.
Yeah. He said he's been counting the days till he can be activated, and he said he went right to Howie Roseman and said, "Man, you shouldn't have put me on IR." So he wants to play. Unfortunately, he has the worst possible playoff schedule for any tight end, but still. Hey, you want your guy out there for fantasy football. So hopefully he gets back out there soon.
You have to hope he was being a little tongue in cheek, right? Like he had to have been being a little tongue in cheek. That's the way I'm going to take it.
No question.
Jared in the chat. What's up, Jared? Welcome in, my friend. He said, what's up, y'all?
Jared,
and then wants to know who would you flex?
Albert too. What up, Albert?
What up, Albert? Didn't see you down there. Good morning.
Didn't see you down there.
Jared said, who would you flex between David Montgomery, Christian Watson, and Garrett Wilson? And then also, would you start Tua or Deshaun? I'll start with that one. I'm starting Tua. That Tua. One I feel like is easier. Is it a triple Tua? Triple Tua. And then David Montgomery, Christian Watson, Garrett Wilson. Which one of those three would you be flexing?
All right, boys. David Montgomery is going to be going up against the Packers. That game's at home. The Packers are favored by 5.5. Which is pretty wild, which means Christian Watson is also in that game going against the Bears. And then Garrett Wilson and Mike White will be going up against Minnesota in Minnesota -3. That game's in a dome. So, yeah, how are you guys feeling? JL?
Typically, if I'm flexing and I'm trying to decide between a running back and a wide receiver, and it's about even, I'll tend towards the running back because it's a bit safer. The opportunity is a bit safer. You get a little bit less variance with running backs, at least high-end running backs, than you get with wide receivers. This is one of those cases. I will go David Montgomery here, just narrowly beating out Garrett Wilson. But I'm fine. Honestly, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, all three of these guys really are in the same tier for me.
Yeah, I look at this. I first have to say, good job on waivers, assuming that you went out and either drafting or went out and got Christian Watson, Garrett Wilson, because at the very least, you can block your competitors from starting these two guys that are scorching, scalding hot right now. But I'm with JL. If Khalil Herbert was playing, then maybe I would lean away from David Montgomery. But I'm not as worried about Darrington Evans taking carries away. So David Montgomery is pretty locked in for me right now.
I believe as well. Romeo Dobbs, rookie wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers.
And you can run on the Packers, right? Like the Packers, it's been no problem for most teams.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders just had 2 touchdowns last week on him.
And Kenneth Gainwell, I think, too.
David Montgomery or Garrett Wilson. But I think I'm rolling out David Montgomery. The volume is so safe, and he still has upside, right? Like, it's not like we're just making a floor play with David Montgomery. With that amount of volume, that dude can get some work done. We had an update from Keith, and I also found this, guys. In the Journal of Dermatological Sciences, there's a full-length study, peer-reviewed, that says the rate of wound healing is increased in psoriasis. People with psoriasis actually do have wounds that heal faster than if you don't have psoriasis. So that's not what psoriasis is, but apparently it can be a side effect. That's something that happens.
So wow. Dallas Goedert was right, dude. Superhuman. Howie Roseman should never put him on IR because his shoulder injury would have naturally healed with his psoriasis.
Wow.
Just incredible. Dustin in here saying, good morning, all. Random fact of the day. Elephants are the only mammals that can't jump. Is that true?
I don't know. Has anyone ever seen Tyler Higbee actually jump?
He's a reptile.
Yeah, that's true.
Doesn't count.
Yeah. Speaking of Tyler Higbee, did you guys see what Justin Reed from the Chiefs did?
No.
There's no way he didn't know this, dude. But he goes, yeah, they got that. He's talking about, they asked him about playing the Bengals, and he goes, yeah, they got that guy over there. What's his name? Tyler Higbee. And then he like smiled over at another one of the guys in the locker room, and then he goes, oh, no. Higbee's on the Rams. That guy they got coming back that's been out. What's his name? Higgins. Yeah, Higgins, whatever his name is. He goes, he's like, that guy, he's a little shifty, doesn't really block very well, but either way, I'm gonna lock him up. Like just
the disrespect and even like saying his name wrong in that sentence.
Also, he was the best, like, so going through that, just a masterclass in shade, because he brings up Tyler Higbee, who's not even on the team. He then pivots to T. Higgins, but describes Jamar Chase. If you read the quote, he goes, oh yeah, the shifty guy coming back doesn't block very well, T. Higgins. He was describing Jamar Chase because Jamar Chase is the guy coming back. And then he's like, yeah, whoever he is, I'm gonna lock him up. Like, just a bravo, Justin Reed, because he knows who those guys are. You know what I mean? Like, there's no question. I love that stuff.
Just pure trash talk. Nothing but trash. We got Jared in here as well saying, yeah, it's hard having to do these picks with them being so hot right now. Thanks, y'all. Yeah, that's a tough question. You got 3 of the hottest guys in fantasy right now. That you're deciding
hotter than J.K. Dobbins.
I don't know, JL. You're the determiner.
Hotter than Bilbo Baggins?
Less hot than Bilbo Baggins, that's for sure. Bilbo's a hottie with a body. It's a hobbit body, but it's still a body.
He's a hottie.
Oh, baby. Guys, coming up, we are going to do a Reptile Battle Royale bracket, and we've got our Thursday Night Football Prop Bet Draft. We're going to be playing a new game on episode 69 of the morning show called Fill in the Holes. And then, as always, if you've got fantasy questions, start sits for week 13, throw them in the chat, and we would love to get to those. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Live with Rick Kamla. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific on Better Sports Network.
Andy Reid is the best current coach in the NFL. He's better than Belichick. Belichick has lost his way. He's better than Tomlin. He's better than Harbaugh. He's better than Shanahan. He's better than McCarthy down in Dallas. He's better than all of the gangster NFL coaches right now. Sean McDermott up in Buffalo. He's better than all these guys. Andy Reid is the greatest gangster that we have at head coach in the NFL right now. And I understand that you're saying, well, Belichick is the GOAT, Cam. How can that be true? Now you're bringing up old stuff. Bill Belichick can't draft anymore, okay? Talk to me. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. Talk to me. DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel versus N'Keal Harry, okay? Talk to me. This dude has lost his way. Remember the year when he should have bottomed out and just tanked, but he couldn't, and he went and got Cam Newton, and they were a mediocre team, right? He's lost his way. And not that he can't coach up a good defense and that kind of thing, but overall, he's lost his way. Andy Reid's an absolute badass. They draft great. He's a great coach, makes the right decisions, when to go for it, when to kick, when to punt. The guy's the man.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
I hate the stupid unsportsmanlike conduct. As long as you're not disrespectful to the opponent, you should be allowed to celebrate.
How I used to say it, and to bring up, because now basketball's starting, I'm going to bring up personal.
Oh, dude, it's even worse than basketball, isn't it?
So Dikembe Mutombo, who used to get teed up in the 2000s, in the 90s, they didn't give a crap. 2000s, though, when they tightened up the rules, they used to tee him up more when he did the Dikembe finger wag. But they wouldn't tee him up if he did it to the crowd instead of looking at, like, Eton Thomas, like one time I remember, and doing it right to him, or when his back was turned, doing it right to him. If he did it to the crowd, they would never call it. And so that makes me wonder if these players, while, yeah, they want to talk a little smack, maybe they should flex towards the crowd than at the player who they're standing over.
I guess.
I know it's soft, man.
It is soft.
Because you know what?
Like we're gonna give 15 yards for that,
bro. They think that, you know, want to know why they're paranoid? They think that's gonna turn into a fight.
See, I disagree with that. That's not going to start a fight.
I agree with you. They don't agree with us.
It's one thing, okay, if you spit in someone's face or say something derogatory, like about their family or something,
right,
yeah, that can incite it. But if you're just like, yeah, I made that play, what? You know what I mean? Like, again, they know the rules. You got to know you're going to get flagged. You have to have discipline. But, like, I don't know. I have no problem with celebration as long as it's not disrespectful.
What's disrespectful? You know,
it's interpretation, and that's my problem. Watch, it's going to cost someone in a big playoff game, and that's when people are going to go crazy. There'll be a third down play. Someone makes a pass breakup, and they're in someone's face. They're going to throw a flag. It'll extend the drive. That team scores, wins the playoff game because of it. You need something drastic for it to really leave an imprint, and I hope that doesn't happen to my team.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
Hey, welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are about to get into a new segment that we call the Moreau U Know, where we are bringing things that we have learned recently that we want to share with the group, that we think it would just be better if you knew than if you didn't. Before we get into that, though, we've got a question in the chat from our friend Eric. What's up, Eric? Good morning. Thanks for popping in with us.
Eric.
He said, speaking of tight ends, rank these tight ends for the week in PPR. Cole Kmet, Foster Moreau, Johnson, or Conklin. Juwan Johnson or Tyler Conklin. Coop, we'll come to you first, Mr. Tight End Tinkler. How would you rank these tight ends on the week?
I'll have my official tight end rankings out today, so you can check that out. I'm going to have my DFS picks and my official tight end rankings out on my Twitter. But I do, with these guys, know what I'm doing. I don't care who the quarterback is. Cole Kmet played every single snap, ran every route except 2. He blocked on 2 pass plays. He got 6 targets, which what more can you ask for in this world? And they lost Darnell Mooney. So that feels like a pretty good floor play to me. I can't see a world where he doesn't get a couple looks at least. The problem with Juwan Johnson is that he doesn't play all the snaps. In fact, he played fewer snaps than both Adam Trotman and Taysom Hill last week. Kind of threw up a 0 spot there. So the second guy on that list for me is going to be Tyler Conklin. I also just want to have Tyler Conklin on my roster, even if I'm not starting him now, just because if he can connect with Mike White, he has arguably the best playoff schedule of any tight end. It goes Detroit Lions, who all 3 teams he's playing during the fantasy playoffs are bottom 10. Detroit Lions, Jacksonville Jaguars, Seattle Seahawks. And the Seahawks championship week, that's a team where it's basically the Cardinals and Seahawks going back and forth in a contest to see who can be worse versus the tight end, right? So you want to have Tyler Conklin stashed anywhere you can afford it. And then last for me is Foster Moreau, just because he just played the Seahawks. He scored a touchdown, but They, scored 40 points, played 77 snaps. The guy only had 3 catches. Darren Waller could come back. For me, he's the last priority of that group to hold on to. So that's how I rank him: Kmet, Conklin, Juwan, which makes me very sad, and then Foster Moreau. So there you go, Eric.
I'm with you, Coop.
Hope that answered your question.
It's Kmet first for me. I really, the next guys are closer. Like Moreau's relatively close to Conklin in my eyes, but that's more of an indictment on Conklin than it is a boon for Moreau. But I'm going to roll Kmet out there from this bunch. What about you, John Luke?
I'll go Moreau. I like the matchup this week against the Chargers.
Just for this week? Dude, Moreau stinks.
Yes, I'm not arguing that.
And the two parts of it are and even just for this week, the week before last, they asked him to stay in and block on 16 pass plays. Now they go up against like Bosa and Mack, this whole situation. And then Josh Larkey also pointed out that the reality of the Chargers is that they've played an absolute gauntlet of tight ends, and they held a number of them to really low totals. Derwin James is kind of a real problem. I don't know if they'll waste Derwin James on Foster Moreau, but if they wanted to take Foster Moreau out of the game with Derwin James, it wouldn't be a problem. So it does scare me a little bit with Moreau.
Scares you a little bit there. Jared also had a follow-up question on his previous players. He's got David Montgomery, Christian Watson, Garrett Wilson as the flex. We all said we would flex Monty. So would you start Christian Watson or Garrett Wilson over Amari Cooper going against the Houston Texans in Watson's first game back? I'm not. I'm leaving Cooper in that lineup.
I'm leaving Cooper too.
Fantasy football at a certain level has to be fun, right? Is it? No. Is there anything more fun? Zero fun, sir.
This is no fun show.
Is there anything more fun than just like throwing that wild dart with Amari Cooper and Deshaun Watson? That could be real fun.
And you know what?
Pretty fun.
Amari Cooper's been so good. That dartboard's pretty big. You know what I mean? It's not like a tiny dartboard 50 yards down the field. They're going to hit the dartboard. You're just hoping it's a little bit closer to the middle there.
He's on pace for the best season of his career, right?
He is. Yeah, he's on pace for his best season that he's ever had. It is time for us to get into our segment that we are calling the Moreau You Know. We're gonna learn you a little bit here about stuff that we have learned recently. Coop, I think you should go first. I want to learn a little something from you.
I'll go first. And this isn't, normally I'd pick something like scientific or, or about sports or about anything that we should talk about on this type of show. Instead, I'm going to talk about something that's completely nonsensical that I was just reading about the other night for no reason at all. Right. So I found this new subreddit called Hobby Drama. You should not go on it. It's an absolute time sink. And it's just full of rabbit holes, and it'll get you all worked up for no reason. But what the subreddit is people in these like very, very niche hobbies and communities will go on and basically just bitch about all the drama that's going on within the community, which I think is excellent. So it's like, all these random people talking about like very specific cartoons or like chess or whatever. So I get
fantasy football.
Fantasy football. There's a post on there about Taysom Hill from 2 years ago where somebody was bitching about him being eligible at tight end, even though he was starting at quarterback, which, excellent. So I'm in there and I start reading about, I'm like, what is this about? This Taylor Swift. It's a Taylor Swift community post, right? And I'm like, okay, well, what's going on here? Apparently, there is a humongous community of people to the point where they have hashtags on Twitter. They have their own subreddit that believe that Taylor Swift is secretly homosexual and that she is a lesbian and sending messages through her music to her fans, right? To the point where when you, I'm yes,
the point where things related,
it is wild to the point where when you go through, they've combed through all her Instagram posts, all her lyrics, and they just like, like Charlie Day with the dartboard and the strings, right? Have all these different things where they think all this stuff is proving that she is coming out to them, and they call themselves gaylers, right? So there it is, Britt. Don't get sucked into Gaylor theories. I already did, Britt. So you guys got to go type in Gaylor on Twitter and see what's going on there. They have gotten to the level where they call all the other fans Hetlers and they go to battle on Twitter. The Gaylor community versus the community that is just like she's dated this guy Joe for 6 years, right? And every step of the way, a different thing comes up where they get their hopes all the way up. You know, a song called Lavender Haze. They get all excited, and then Taylor comes out and says, "Oh yeah, that's about my boyfriend," right? And they're just like crushed every time, but they won't go away. It's basically like QAnon for Taylor Swift, and every time an album drops, they move the date. They're like, this is the one. The 10th album just came out. They're like, next album is when she's going to come out and tell us. But let me tell you, man, take a look at this community. You don't have to go and read the whole post like I did, but search Gaylor on Twitter and see what comes up. You will be flabbergasted. So
I want to give a warning to everyone, though. Don't engage. Don't
stay out of there.
You will not win against the Taylor Swift fan base, and you do not want them coming after you. In fact, even mentioning the Taylor Swift fan base here, we got to be careful what we say because they will find us. That is and don't get me wrong, I love some Taylor Swift music, but the Swifties, the people that go hardcore, it is a different mess. It is wild. Coop, I had never heard that conspiracy theory though, or that there was a whole community kind of like fighting about it, but I believe it immediately because that just sounds very Twitter and very Taylor Swift fans. Like that sounds exactly like that.
It is.
That's
and
awesome.
It's just like, and I don't know, like the whole thing across the board is, first of all, it's pretty creepy, but it's just this ongoing battle of like, leave her alone versus let us live. And it's just like, it is, I gotta let us live our life.
Fight for different freedoms.
Let us believe what we believe. And it's like, dude, you are spending the fact that I think I'm going to spend an hour looking at this stuff. The fact that
Maria said, I love imagining Coop deep diving in this thread.
The middle of the night, it's like I'm up.
What in the world?
Yeah,
what's
Kate's
the truth, Taylor?
I'm like under the blankets with like a lamp, and Kate's like, "Don't you have a show in like 4 hours?" I'm like, the Hitlers won't let us live, you know. I'm like reading about it, but I definitely don't side. I don't want to upset any community, but I think what the Gaylors are doing, a little invasive. And I think if she is homosexual, like the last thing you want to do is out her, right? Like that's not cool. So
no,
I'd say stay out of there, but definitely lurk a little bit. Definitely check it out because it gets super weird. And I will admit, some of the posts, some of the tweets and stuff from the Gaylors, super funny. Those people
Super
are
fun.
Oh yeah.
I got one
You
for you
learn,
guys. I got one for you guys. Very related to Coops. I also go down late night rabbit holes, but sometimes mine are a little different. I love to go on Google Maps and just start zooming in on isolated places. Something about isolation is like really interesting to me. Like places that are so far out there that like people don't generally go. It's like wildly interesting to me. So I'll start zooming in around Greenland and these like Arctic islands and stuff. And I found this island that I was like reading a little bit about. It's right near Greenland, in between Greenland and Canada. And so Greenland is owned by Denmark, called Hans Island. So Hans Island is a small, like 1.9 kilometer uninhabited island in the strait that separates Greenland from Canada. And Canada and Denmark for years had a pseudo war over this island, like a proxy war, where it was really just like playful passive aggressiveness, where officials, whenever they would go to that island from Canada or Denmark, they would leave a bottle of whiskey as a power move to claim dominance over the island. And they called it the Whiskey Wars. So like they're playfully just passing back and forth control of this island by leaving bottles of liquor on this tiny uninhabited island in the Arctic.
Dude, I'm looking at a picture of this island right now. How big is this thing even? It looks like you could walk across it in about 15 minutes.
It is 1.3 square kilometers. So it is half a square mile. It is tiny. You could almost jump from one end to the other.
That's wild. I'm looking at pictures of the whiskey right now. So who currently is in control?
Both. It is a Canadian and Danish island. I believe like that's how the treaty was resolved, is like it belongs to both of them. But they would playfully just put the liquor down there to claim dominance. They called it a power move whenever I was reading about it.
Power move.
Yeah. Denmark is too lax with their colonies. They're like, yeah, we own Greenland, but we let them do their own thing. You know, it's like we don't quite own it. It's like I will share the island with Canada, dude. You don't see Russia doing that with anybody. You know what I mean? Like, there's no whiskey. There's nobody sharing whiskey on little frisbees out in the ocean like this thing is here.
Tommy said, let's go grab some whiskey and claim it. Yeah, someone get a bottle of whiskey.
Someone's making out, stealing all these bottles. Once they leave, she just rows over, grabs bottle, scuttles back.
I like Tommy's idea. Nice. We can own an island. All we have to do is get to this tiny island in the middle of the Arctic with a bottle of whiskey, and it's ours. Wouldn't that be funny if some random person did that and they just like let you in on the fun? Know what I mean? They were like, "Oh, okay, now it's between Greenland, Canada, and
front yard fantasy." The
Wikipedia article has like, "This is an island owned by the Danish government, the Canadian government, and 3 buffoons who have a morning show."
Look, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade here, but this place looks like it blows. There's no ground. It's just a rock and at times ice.
It's our rock.
It looks like that's our rock. It looks like a place where you would definitely need a lot of whiskey if you're gonna hang out. It looks freezing there.
Man, wow. So Coop, and with that, this island has been split in half. Like that was the final resolution, and it happened just in June of this year. I missed that yesterday. June 14th, 2022 is when they agreed to just split the island in half. So that's what they got going on there. Each own half of a 1.3 square kilometer island in the middle of a strait between Greenland and Canada that they originally fought over by placing bottles of whiskey on the island whenever they would visit.
Would you want the tall half with the big cliff or the other half that kind of slopes into the water?
Water.
The tall half with the big cliff.
Ooh, so you guys
tall half with the big cliff. That's what you say at the negotiations. We want the tall half with the big cliff.
But we need access via your side with the water.
Yeah.
Granted.
Like, good luck getting up down there. Danish always mocking us.
This damn Danish. The Moreau U Know, I can't ever say that one right. It's actually about fantasy football. So maybe back to fantasy football. You guys know how fantasy football was created?
No.
It was like this. It was a bunch of dudes. It was a bunch of nerd asses who wanted to play football like us. It was these nerd asses who were like, all these kids are playing football. They tried, they got hurt, and they said, I'm making a game with numbers. Am I right?
Close. It was actually started by a guy named Bill Winkelbach. Sorry, Winkelbach is he was a part owner of the Raiders back in the 60s. And he just had this idea, got his friends together in a New York City hotel. And he had this idea, like you draft real players and you give them points based off their performance. And that was the very first record we have of any sort of fantasy football league. Listen to the scoring system they had for this. 25 points for a touchdown pass, rush, or reception. 25 points for a field goal. 10 points for an extra point. And 200 for a kickoff, punt, or interception that was returned for a touchdown. That was the original scoring system. They named it the Greater Oakland Professional Pigskin Prognosticators League, or GOPOPOPO for short.
Say that again.
GOPOPOPO for short.
Those rules are kind of lit, though, dude.
Let's do a league for that.
Let's do an OG league. Yo, let's do that next season.
Pick six is super valuable. I think you'd almost have to be grabbing like Trayvon Diggs if pick sixes are worth 200. Although,
or do you just grab a defense? Or are you grabbing like was the original fantasy league an IDP league? Because they put interception return for a touchdown.
Did do interception. Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. I think so. I think it must be.
The first ever league I played in had an IDP in it. Yeah,
really?
Hardcore.
2001.
It's really hardcore.
Yeah, it really was, dude. It was
first dynasty league I played in it was IDP.
Yeah, and the guy who made it had never played IDP in his entire life. That was a good idea.
That's intense.
Bozo. It was me. So yeah, that's why I am so down for an OG league next year.
Let's do it. That's not so fun.
I don't know if they gave you the specifics of the roster construction, but just based on the scoring, it feels positionless. Know what I mean? Like it feels positionless. It feels like you just draft. But I don't know. Actually, Lamar Jackson would be a freaking cheat code. Jalen Hurts, these rushing quarterbacks who get 25 points per passing and rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's wild. Cordero Patterson to the top.
Star.
That's pretty wild. Jamal Williams would be a all-star right now. This is all those touchdowns, 25 points each.
Kene Nwangwu. I mean, some IDP guys. I mean, like I said, Trevon Diggs, dude. You almost got to grab him just for that 200-point possibility.
As of there's also a little thing added here is as of 2015, the GoPoPoPo is still active and they're still maintaining the original scoring system. They haven't changed it.
If you haven't changed it by now, you never change it. You know what I mean? That was something that got changed the next year, right? Or 2 years in where you're like, okay, we got to adjust. Once you let it hit like that 10-year mark, now you're locked in. That's now cool to play in that. Whereas before, like if you would have changed it year 2, it would have been adapting. Now it's just abandoning something that was the OG.
We should see if we can get in, though. I will say that is everyone has had that commissioner at some point. That's just like, sorry, that's just the way it's always been. So we're not voting on the rules. We're not changing. Like that's taking it to an extreme. I have to say the original first rules. Just nope. We got it right the first time. Shut up. No PPR.
JL, what was his name again?
It was Wilfred Winkenbach, and there's a Twitter account with 9 followers, so I'm guessing that could be him. Maria asked if he's still alive. I don't know. I haven't been able to see that yet.
Wilfred Winkenbach, what a power name.
We should get him on the show if he is.
Tommy in here saying we used to do 6 points available per position, 3 for touchdowns, 2 for yards, and 1 for reception/rush. This was in 1990. I'm even a little bit confused about how that works. So like the max score a player could get is 6. Am I reading that right?
Yeah. And what were you, Tom, would you send in if you had to like make a waiver move, you send it in via like Morse code? Like a tele- Some guy knocks on your door and he's like, Tommy adds Roger Staubach from the waivers.
I'm gonna throw this article in the chat because football diehards, Bob Harris and Emil Kadlik over Football Diehards put together a whole article detailing the origin story and everything. And so if anybody's interested in that, they could check that out.
Man, Emil Kadlik, legend in the industry. Joe, we were at the FSGA conference when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame there. And I remember before that, I was sitting with him at a table, and that dude said like the funniest thing anyone has ever said to me in a professional setting. And I'm not even sure he's aware of it. He handed me his business card and he like introduced himself and he's like, do you care who I am or can I have that back? And he was being 100% genuine. Like he brought limited business cards and he was like, if you don't care, I'm just going to take that back. No offense.
I love Emil. Emil's the man.
That's amazing, bro.
I was like, no, I care, man. Like, this is a big deal. And I was just cracking up. Like, that's some humility right there. Know what I mean? He wasn't assuming I wanted to know who he was or hold his business card, even though like where I was sitting was to wait to watch him get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Like it was at his induction ceremony. He was like, I don't know if you even care who I am.
Emil is the man. Maria said, off to teach to the youth. Hi, Maria. Thanks for tuning in.
Enjoy teaching the youth.
Maria, make sure you teach them the 3 things you learned today on this show.
Yeah, the very important things. The Moreau U Know.
To review, the Moreau U Know. There was a community.
Hans Island, Bill Winklevoss unit today at our segment. Yeah, there you go.
We'll see what you learn next time on this segment, guys. But today you learned about the Gaylors. You learned about an island being fought over with bottles of whiskey, and you learned about Wilfred Winklewhopper and his invention of fantasy football. Did I nail it, JL?
You nailed it.
Perfect. Wiffle Winkleduper. Guys, coming up, we have a very important bracket of reptiles that are going to fight to the death, a reptile battle royale. We've got our Thursday night football prop bet draft and our new game we're calling Fill in the Holes. As always, if you've got questions for us, throw them in the chat. We're heading over to the BSN app and hit that call in button where you can come up on air, talk with us live. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
The only person, I've said this to you before, who I believe back then, of all those power hitters who truly was clean, Ken Griffey Jr.
I mean, I think so when he got hurt. We'll never know that for sure either.
Nah, dude.
We've seen guys who were not big take substances.
That's true.
I just get busted. So it's not about that always.
I hear you. It's just don't you think with the way his career kind of went, you would think that he didn't take anything?
I don't think that he did, but we'll never know 100%.
I'm going to keep telling myself that he didn't. The 1 year player, I mean, he's my favorite baseball player of all time. In the 1990s, Ron, as a kid, as a 5-year-old kid who plays video games and collected cards, there was no one cooler than Ken Griffey Jr. I still wear my hat backwards because Ken Griffey Jr. did it, and he looked really cool doing that, wearing a backwards baseball cap. He made everything the guy did looked cool. Even the home run in the movie Little Big League, it's acting, it's all, I guess, fake, but even he made that look cool. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr., you're a little bit older than me, but in the 90s, was there besides Michael Jordan, was there a more loved athlete than Ken Griffey Jr.?
Yeah, no, I love Griffey. He's one of my favorite players ever, from defensively to hitting his swing. And yeah, I would have loved to see what he could have done if he had stayed healthy, the final numbers he'd finished with. So no, I was a huge fan of Ken Griffey, and it's a shame though that all those injuries towards the end of his career just really limited the production he put up, but he still put up elite numbers. He was so fun to watch. So I'm a huge Ken Griffey guy.
And here's the other thing too. So 1994, the season got shortened because of the strike.
And he finished with 40 homers in 111 games that year, man. And then he had 56 2 years in a row, 97 and 98, and then 48. He had a stretch 4 years in a row, 49, 56, 56, 48, 40. I mean, unbelievable. And then, yeah, once he hit like 31, he started to miss games, 111, 70, 53, 83. So think about that, all those years that he lost, and he still hit 630 home runs, man. Yeah. So if he was clean, he would have been the all-time home run champion. Again, we're all guessing here, but you would think, all right, well, once he got into age 31, 32, that's when the body started breaking out, which is typical, right, for someone who's not using anything, whereas we saw Barry Bonds just get better with age, and we did not see that with Griffey. So look at 2001, where he's 30 when he played on, look at the home runs decline, 8, 13, 20, 35, 27, 30, 18, 15 to his age 38 season. Even age 39 in 170 games, he had 19 home runs. So he probably would have definitely been the all-time home run leader had he been able to stay healthy.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. It is time for our bracket of today. We are doing a Reptile Battle Royale bracket. It's going to be reptiles fighting to the death. We have to determine which one's going to come out alive in each matchup until we have one winner, the king of all the reptiles. You guys ready to get into this?
Oh, yeah.
Fired up.
Let's do it. I'm going to run through the matchups that we have here. Or JL, you want to give us a breakdown of what we're going to be dealing with here?
Sure. So here is our bracket for Reptile Battle Royale. We got 50 Komodo dragons going against 500 scorpions. We have 2 boa constrictors going against 8 Allen lizards, 1 crocodile going against 12 rattlesnakes, 1,000 chameleons going against 30 alligator snapping turtles. Tough bracket.
Reptiles are amphibians.
That's a pretty
Turtles
serious.
Are reptiles.
Are they reptiles? Yeah, they are reptiles. You're right.
Scorpions are definitely not reptiles.
Those are insects. I'm almost positive.
I think they're related. I think they're related to spiders, but that's all right because Allen Lazard.
Let's leave them in there.
Allen Lazard definitely.
Scorpions in there.
Allen lizards will definitely.
We're gonna leave them in there, dude. Yeah. So we'll do.
This is the mostly reptile battle royale.
Reptilian. The
I was putting
reptilian.
this together as I was falling asleep last night, so
Change it to
you can blame me fully.
It's not the reptile bracket. It's the reptilian bracket. That way we're safe with Allen.
The reptilian, yes. Reptile-like.
Yeah, I know.
Dustin said scorpions are not reptiles at all.
Dustin.
You're not a reptile at all, Dustin.
Yeah.
Ban Dustin again from the chat.
Yeah, someone put him in timeout. He's asking for it.
So that would be like
Blue's not a reptile at all.
I was gonna say, Dustin, if you're not careful, I'm just gonna start referring to these animals just by a color. all of these reptiles just by a singular color.
Forget the last 4. All right.
So Our first matchup is 50 Komodo dragons versus 500 scorpions. That is the first matchup. John Luke, who you got in this one?
50 Komodo dragons, 500 scorpions. The scorpions, I mean, they're not even reptiles. So Why are they even here? Why are they even in this bracket? It's so stupid.
Such a good point.
Komodo Dragon's just gonna squash those bad boys. It's gonna be nothing. 500, 50 Komodo Dragons, 500. Get out of here.
I will say it's not the best matchup for Komodo Dragons. I've seen some of the work that Komodo Dragons have done. It's actually really sad and gross and slow. Dude, those things are poisonous. Did you know that? Komodo Dragons? Yeah. So they kind of like latch on. They take down like some big animals like cows and stuff, but it's not quick and it's not pretty. But so not a good matchup though for them versus scorpions because they're not very fast and they're not really built to take them down. But I just don't see how the scorpions take these big boys down.
It's a lot of venom.
It's only 10. It's only 10 scorpions per Komodo dragon is what we got going on.
Not enough.
Here.
It's not
easy
enough.
peasy. And also, Coop, I hate to be that guy. They're venomous, not poisonous.
Oh,
and
that's right.
They are fast. They can run up to 13 miles per hour.
How fast?
Like 13 miles per hour for a reptile. That's freaking fast.
I wanted to look it up because I thought they were fast too. Yeah.
I have gone down the Komodo dragon rabbit hole.
Like
These dudes are monsters. When I saw 50 in this bracket, I was flabbergasted. These guys literally, you know what? I'm going to save it for the next round.
Can you show us again how the Komodo dragons move?
That is
fast. That is
I was about to go scorpions, but we are going Komodo dragon. I'm with you guys. Oh, Joe, that was good too. Now I'm even more scared.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Dude. Scorpions don't stand a chance, dude.
Now do the scorpion.
This is the Steve Belichick of reptiles.
Yeah, give me the I'll vote Komodo dragons as well. So I think that's 2 for the Komodos and jail, I imagine. And jail's probably he's gonna vote for scorpion because he doesn't want to do that impression again next round.
No, I already voted Komodo
impression.
All right, let's do it.
Komodo dragons move on to the next round. Our next matchup, we've got 2 boa constrictors versus 8 Engalnd lizards. 8 Engalnd lizards versus 2 boa constrictors. I'm going to take the first vote here. Jail went first last time. Coop, we'll get you first on the next one. And I'm going to roll with 8 Engalnd lizards. I think 8 grown-ass men, especially the size of Engalnd lizard, could handle 2 boa constrictors. Don't get me wrong. That is a very real threat, the boa constrictors are. But, Coop, to the point you made about the guys last time, the Komodo dragons are venomous. The boa constrictors are not. They are constrictor snakes. And I think they might be able to get a hold of 1 or 2 Engalnd lizards, but they're not taking care of more than 1 at a time, right? And the other 6 are going to be ready to pounce and take care of those 2 boa constrictors. Engalnd lizard's what? How big is that dude? He's like 6'4", 6'5". Like, that's a big man. 6'5" is how tall Engalnd lizard is. Yeah, he's taken down a couple boa constrictors. Coop, where are you going here?
Yeah, if the ratio was a little more 1-to-1, right? If it was 8 boa constrictors versus 8 Engalnd lizards, or even honestly, if there were 7 boa constrictors, I'd just 1 Engalnd lizard trying to figure out which Engalnd lizard to try and save in that moment. Just panicking. He's running from one to the other. Like,
no, save the Engalnd lizard.
Why am I imagining like a Mr. Meeseek situation where he keeps creating more Engalnd lizards like to try to save the day?
Yeah. I mean, if that's possible, then Engalnd lizard is going to be unstoppable. Yeah, but I think it's a ratio thing here where if you can go 4 Engalnd lizards to 1 boa constrictor, they're going to take this one down. So at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. Got to go with the Engalnd lizards here.
Engalnd lizards, they got 2 votes. You agree, Jay?
I'm with you guys. Yeah, it's the boas are just got an unfortunate matchup here because they're just going to get out. They're outnumbered. Outnumbered is the bottom line.
Okay, Engalnd lizards moving on to face off against the 50 Komodo dragons in the next round. We had Terrell come in here saying this show is life right now. I'm currently working outside in Pennsylvania doing landscaping. It's cold.
Oh, no.
Yo, appreciate you hanging out with us while you're doing that.
Stay warm. I went outside for like 5 minutes because it's been so cold here in Baltimore. And I immediately want to go back inside. I hate it.
I just turned to my dog. I'm like, I go outside my dog before the show. I'm like, do you want to pee in the house?
Like, yeah, I'm like, you can hold it.
Just pee in the house. Just pee wherever you want.
Just hold it. You'll stop having to go.
Yeah. So Terrell also asked us, Damien Pierce or Isaiah Pacheco this week. Boys, how we feeling?
Pierce, he's got a great matchup. both of these teams are going against two of the worst rushing teams in the league, the Houston Texans and the Cleveland Browns, facing off against each other. I'll throw Dameon Pierce out there. I know it's been rough sledding the past couple weeks, but with a matchup against the Browns, that Browns rush D is terrible. You got to throw him out there, right?
The Browns rush D is the only rush D worse than the Texans. But
yep.
I mean, just Pierce has been so ineffective, man. He has 15 rushing yards on 16 carries the last 2 weeks. This one's close for me. Jail, where are you going?
I was hoping you wouldn't throw it to me that quick, because I was sitting here trying to debate.
Notice how I didn't give an answer. I just was like, you answer.
Yeah, I know. I like Pacheco this week, honestly. What we've seen over the last couple of weeks since he's been the starter has been positive. It hasn't been like Dameon Pierce from earlier in the season, but it's been pretty good. He's going against Cincinnati, which is middle of the pack. I think I would still lean Dameon Pierce here, but it is very close. This is not a clear Dameon Pierce.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Dameon Pierce here. Just like if you have the two players, right? If you're not gonna start Dameon Pierce against the Browns, which considering his team is the only team worse, it's the best possible matchup Dameon Pierce is going to get, unless he gets traded, unless somehow he gets to play against his own team. You got to start Dameon Pierce in this matchup. If Pierce doesn't do it this week, then you can feel comfortable just starting Isaiah Pacheco the rest of the way. Because, again, if Pierce can't move the ball on the Browns, then he never will. So get Pierce in there this week just to be happy you have Pacheco on the back burner in case something has changed for this Texans team and Pierce can't go back to the games where he was dropping hundo spots,
We got producer Kevin here saying, could we push this bracket back an hour so my edible can kick in? I'll appreciate it more.
Sure thing, bro.
No,
that, bro?
No, we timed it this way on purpose, Keith. You should have gotten your timing better. We nailed our timing. The next battle we have is 1 crocodile versus 12 rattlesnakes. Coop, you've got the first vote on this one. Who's coming out alive in this battle?
Man, this is tough, dude. Crocodiles are so mean, dude.
They're so mean.
They're so mean, bro. They just actually, they're not even mean. They seem like they just have zero brains at all. But their reptilian minds just want to grab a hold of your arm and just start spinning, which is just horrifying. Just horrifying, dude. But rattlesnakes are venomous, not poisonous. Mushrooms are poisonous. Silly Coop from earlier. I don't know. I don't know enough about how crocodiles deal with venom and being bitten. So I think the crocodile would honestly just munch these guys. Just one biters. Honestly, you could probably bite a rattlesnake right in half. So I think I'm going to go with the crocodile here over these snakes, because if the venom isn't working, then the snake's got nothing. I mean, they got nothing on the back burner, right? They got
a cool rattle.
They have no other recourse, right? Yeah, they do have a cool rattle. But I'm not even sure that's helping. That's kind of telling the dude where they're at. I think this dude would just be swimming around with a belly full of rattles, dude.
It's I'm with you, Coop. It's going to be really hard for these rattlesnakes. It's a tough first round matchup because I think they could have competed against some of these others, but they're going up against an armored creature, like a creature with literal armor attached to it all around its body. The original murder machine. Jail, you said they haven't evolved much. That's because they were just created as the apex predator. Like they are the perfect murder machine. And so they didn't have to evolve. Everything just worked from the get-go. They're literal dinosaurs walking around on Earth. It's absurd.
Quick comment on that. Something I saw. Maybe should save it for a Moreau You Know. But apparently they found a Greenland shark that's 500 years old. And so I was kind of going down the rabbit hole on sharks. Dude, you know that sharks have been around longer than trees?
Trees?
Not any individual shark. But sharks can live up to
Bruce from Finding Nemo.
That guy's been around.
He's been around. I mean, there are sharks that are older than America as a country. We know that for a fact. But sharks themselves were in the water before trees. Back then, there were only shrubs and stuff. Trees hadn't even evolved yet, but there were sharks. So, yeah.
Sharks predate trees was not a fact I expected to learn today.
Dude,
not even something I knew I was going to compare when they came around on.
We're Moreauing a lot. We're Moreauing a lot today, dude.
We're Moreau U Know in a lot. Coop, you went with the rattlesnakes. I also
No, I didn't, dude. I'm going with the crocodile.
Coop, you went with the crocodile. I also went with the crocodile. John Luke, the crocodile's moving on, but where's your vote going?
I'm with you guys. I'm going crocodile here.
I would love to have seen. So the thing is, you know, with these different skill sets, the matchups could, like, if you had put this rattlesnakes up against the lizards, that would be a circus, bro. That would have been wild, dude. Because he's like, you know, 8 lizards trying to grab these puppies, but there's you know a couple more rattlesnakes and lizards. That could a couple of those lizards would have to be double fisting rattlesnakes. That would have been a dicey matchup there. So I don't know if I would have. I've taken lizard there, but yeah, I gotta go. You got a rattlesnake in each hand, dude. You're just like, yeah.
This is basically just like maracas.
Right. Yeah. You're an idiot, JL. You're an idiot.
You know, once they won that battle, they're doing a little dance, a little maraca dance.
Just shaking the maracas around.
For sure.
Those would be the most badass maracas, just dead rattlesnakes that you killed.
Or live rattlesnakes.
Or live rattlesnakes that you're about to kill. Kevin in here with a question for us before we move on to our next round, the semifinals. He wants to know Deshaun Watson or Lamar Jackson this week. Deshaun Watson going up against the Houston Texans in his first game back in 2 years, and Lamar Jackson with a pretty tough matchup, coming off some recent struggles against the Denver Broncos. I'm still rolling Lamar here. Lamar Jackson's the caliber of quarterback that I'm not playing Deshaun Watson in his first week back, even with the plus matchup. What about you guys?
I'm just gonna. I would just quietly hope that Lamar Jackson doesn't play, and then you don't have to make any decision.
And you have to make the choice.
Yeah, but yeah. I would start Lamar, man, just because there's a real possibility that, like, we know the floor and ceiling for Watson is so high and low, not just because he's just coming back, but they could decide to say, hey, you know what? Let's make a statement here. Let's have Deshaun go out and just torch his old team, the worst team in the league, or they could just run all over them with Nick Chubb, and then he doesn't do anything. So that's the scary part, is that they might just say, hey, we don't want to cause a big stir and have Watson throw 4 touchdowns and everybody's talking about it. Like, why don't we just beat this team the way we know how, just running all over them with Chubb and Kareem Hunt? I could see that happening too. So Lamar, get him in. JL?
Yeah. I'm going to go Lamar as well. Man, this is tough. The total in this Baltimore-Denver game, 8.5 points scored. It's a very low total. Lamar Jackson is one thing we know he's going to get his. So I'm going to go Lamar here. It is pretty close, but I agree with my co-hosts.
Boom. We've got our next matchup now. The next matchup we are into. Oh, no, we have one more first round matchup, don't we, John?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
We have 1,000 chameleons versus 30 alligator snapping turtles. 1,000 chameleons. That's so many chameleons.
It's a lot of chameleons to round up.
So
John Luke, you got the first vote. Is it going to be the herd, the army of chameleons, 1,000 of them, or the 30 alligator snapping turtles?
Honestly, I mean, clearly the alligator snapping turtles are much more just deadly in a vacuum and outside of a vacuum. But I don't know how they're going to find 1,000 chameleons. I think they'll starve before they do. So I think I got to go with the chameleons here.
You know,
I don't think alligator snapping turtles can climb trees.
Now, I got to say, this matchup, either way, no matter who wins, would be an absolute bloodbath. And it would be just grisly situation. Because, for one, if the snapping turtles are winning this battle, dude, that's a messy situation.
That's a lot of chameleons.
But on the flip side, dude, the chameleons, I mean, to get at a snapping turtle, man, they got to be up in all up in the face and neck region. I mean, that'd be just a grisly battle here. I got to go with the chameleon. I just think it's too many chameleons, man. And the snapping turtles, they're not agile enough. They're not agile enough to deal with. I mean, what's the ratio here? The quick, does anyone? I'm actually going to pull my calculator up. I'm stupid as hell. 1,000 divided by 30. I mean, when you assign that many chameleons,
33
on one. Nah, yeah, the chameleons are going to take this one down, man. It's going to be a pretty sad affair. But give me chameleons. I'm with you, JL.
It's be a long battle.
Yeah, the long, horrible battle. Even David Attenborough would turn away. He'd be like, I cannot
nothing more to
watch
say.
this. David Attenborough would be like, this is not nature. This is not what I signed up for.
Where did your vote go, JL?
I went with chameleons.
You went with chameleons. I see Dustin in here now saying, are we for real chameleons over snapping turtles? Yeah, when you take the numbers out, it sounds a lot dumber, Dustin.
Yeah.
1,000 chameleons over 30 snapping turtles. That's so many chameleons. Coop, when you said this would be messy, I just started imagining how much just like carnage would be on the floor of a Coliseum, like a Roman style Coliseum, if the snapping turtles came out victorious. Yeah. Just the bodies of 1,000 dead chameleons littered all over an arena, like just disgusting and grisly. And they're all snapping around, celebrating with their necks. Exactly. That's what they're doing. It's going to be a disaster, man.
You paint a beautiful word picture, Simon.
I like that.
I got to go with the chameleons because there's 1,000. There's 1,000 of them, right? There's 1,000 chameleons. That's so many chameleons. They can change colors. They can confuse them. They can baffle them. There are too many chameleons for these snaps. They're going to get tired. They're going to cramp up in their neck with all that chomping that they're doing. Like, I bet the snapping turtles get through 600 of them. Know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying the chameleons aren't coming out with some serious losses, but
they're going to chameleon holocaust.
They are going to come out victorious in this matchup. 3 votes for the chameleons. Snapping turtles. See ya later. We had a question come in here, guys, before we get into our semifinals matchups. This one coming from our friend Illmind Jedi said, should I drop Gus Edwards for Tyler Algier? Coop, would you drop Gus Bus for Tyler Algier?
Would I drop the Gus Bus for Tyler Algier? If I'm starting, if you're starting Gus in your lineup this week, which he's not a bad start considering J.K. Dobbins is still out and will be for the foreseeable for at least this week, then you got to keep Gus. But if you're not starting Gus, I think I'd rather have Algier because I think the Algier's role is pretty solidified within that offense. Like he's just splitting it with Cordell Patterson, whereas Gus could go all the way onto the back burner when J.K. Dobbins gets back. So I think that's the way I'd go. I don't know, though. Gus is pretty good. What do you boys think?
I think I'm just rolling with Gus. You can start him now, and I'm not convinced that J.K. Dobbins coming back just steals the entire workload. Like, I do think he has a role in a better offense. It's going to be a smaller role than Algier's, but that safety of I can start him right now. I can keep him in my lineup. The upside for Algier isn't enough to entice me away from Gus Edwards.
I think that's fair.
What about you, Jay?
I'm with you guys. I'd lean Gus Edwards here.
He's going to lean Gus. All right.
Also, I see Dr. Squanch in the chat saying, what's up, guys? What's up?
What up, Squanch? Welcome in. Glad to have you here. And Terrell had another question for us that I'm going to start Pierce at RB2. Now, at flex, would you start Isaiah Pacheco, Gus Edwards, Cortland Sutton, or Darius Slayton? PPR. Coop, is this your opportunity to get Pacheco in there?
Yeah, I think you do go Pacheco here. I like it. Yep. Sutton is so hard to trust, and Darius Slayton is just so meh.
John Luke, you going with Pacheco as well?
Pacheco, let's go.
And then Brandon in here wanted to know, should I sit Damian Pierce for Gus Edwards, Kyron Williams, or Zonovan Knight? I'm rolling Damian Pierce out there.
Pierce. Yeah, exactly. Kyron Williams, interesting because of his usage, but that team stinks now.
Guys, we got our next matchup, semifinal matchup. 2 people that advanced in the first one. And by people, I mean 1 people and 1 reptile. It is 50 Komodo Dragons versus 8 Allen Lazards in the semifinals. And Coop, you got the first vote here. What's happening?
Let me get my calculator back out. Let's see. So we're gonna have, dude. This one's gonna be this one's got to be easy. It's 6 Komodo Dragons per Allen Lazard here, and I mean I've seen like 3 or 4 Komodo Dragons take down a bull, right? So I'm going with the Komodos. I think I didn't realize how quick they were. They're pretty fast. I didn't realize how venomous they were. I thought they were poisonous. And now that I have all that information at my, right in front of me, there's no way I can go away from the Komodo Dragons here. And if anyone's seen that James Bond movie where there's a Komodo dragon in it, scary stuff. So give me the Komodo over the Allen Lazards, even though Allen Lazard's a tough guy, but 6-on-1, forget it.
The problem Allen Lazard's going to run into here, we talked about the crocodiles having armor, right? The crocodile had some armor. The Komodo dragons literally have bone armor. They have a series, layers of bones that grow under their skin as they get older, like rings on a freaking tree. Like they're not born with it. And it's primarily to protect them from each other because they're such aggressive and territorial animals. And they've got shark-like teeth. Like they have these crazy sharp teeth as well. So they've developed literal bone armor that develops under their skins.
Like
scales,
like Dallas Goedert's psoriasis.
Exactly. Like Dallas Goedert psoriasis. Komodo dragons do that with bones. It's man, I think you could switch the numbers. I think you could do 8 Komodo dragons and 50 Allen Lazards, and I would still take the Komodo dragons. I'm rolling 50 Komodo dragons here. John Luke, what do you got here?
I'm going to go with the Allen Lazards. I'm going to go with the Allen Lazards, and the reason being, he's going to be able to trap these Komodo dragons. He's a Homo sapien. He's got that big brain. He's got that big galaxy brain that humans have. I think he's going to be able, all 8 of them are going to be able to figure out a way to stop these Komodo dragons. They might lose a few. I'd say they probably lose like at least 3 Allen Lazards, and they're going to be sad about it. You know, fallen brothers, clones, or whatever situation's going on here. But I think he'll be able to stop them. Let's go Allen Lazard.
Man, I respect it, but it's not a quiz bowl competition. It's a fight to the death, and I'm not sure how much that big brain's going to matter when 50 Komodo dragons are charging at you.
Did you hear the thing about the bone skin?
Yeah, I heard the thing about the bone skin. They got bone skin.
They got bone skin.
I know, but they just build like a cage or one of those little things where you put down the leaves and there's a net, and then the Komodo dragon steps on it and goes, oh, shoosh.
I bet. Oh, he can use traps. He can use weapons.
Of course, he can use. It's a battle royale. You can use whatever is there.
Well, he's got I'd say he has to fashion whatever he's using. So maybe he can make a rudimentary spear, but I don't know if he gets a net. Like if it's 8 Allen Lazards.
You tell me.
If it's 8 Allen Lazards,
and trees, you can make a net from trees.
Okay, so they set up 8 nets.
If they have 8 Allen Lazards and they have
1 net per Allen Lazard, they can do no more.
JL's like, yeah, well, Allen Lazard would just pull out his AR. Quota. He would just pull out his AR-15 and just start shooting.
Yeah, his Google glasses.
Yeah, they Google glasses. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that so
you said AR, and I immediately went off with reality. Yeah.
I mean, I'm in looking at these Komodo dragons. I will say the point you made about the intelligence level. These things don't look particularly smart.
No, I don't think intelligence is their stronghold.
You tell me we domesticated the
we have not domesticated the
we haven't I don't know. Aren't we above on the food chain than the Komodo dragon?
Probably more.
Yeah,
I guess we don't eat them.
I think it changes if you just put us in their environment.
You
know what I mean? Like if you just drop a human off on an island inhabited by Komodo dragons, I think the food chain changes a little.
Do we know that for sure that that's a situation and this isn't like a zoo?
They've killed people. I mean, if it's a zoo, I imagine you're in the tank with them.
It's a battle royale. You got to have some neutral ground, right?
I always imagine the Roman Coliseum 100% of the time. That's just what I imagine for all of these.
Well, then Allen Lazard's going to be in trouble. I don't know how you're going to make nets in the Coliseum. They're not going to be able to hide up in no trees. Jungles might be better.
Kevin's agreeing with you, though, Dale. He said, give me Lazard. Lazard has barely earned a target from anything, much less a Komodo dragon. Komodo dragon's even going to find him on the field. And then Dustin said, Allen Lazard can't even beat a Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs. How is he going to beat a Komodo dragon? We got opposing takes in here, but the Komodo dragons are going to move on to the finals to face off against either 1 crocodile or 1,000 chameleons. 1,000 chameleons or 1 crocodile. That's the next matchup. I got the first vote here. How many chameleons do you think an alligator or a crocodile can eat in one swallow? Like in one swallow, how many chameleons do you think they can scoop? 50?
Oh, no way, dude. Chameleons are pretty big, bro. I'd say maybe like 5.
5? Man, I feel like it's more than that. I feel like they could knock out quite a few with each chomp. And then the thing they got going for them that the snapping turtles didn't is they've got the area of effect attack. Snapping turtles only had a way to attack 1 at a time.
AoE attacks.
Yeah, like the crocodiles got that AoE with the tail. Know what I mean? They're starting to swarm him. He just whips that tail around. He's knocking like 30 of those guys at least away from him to give himself some breathing room. I think the crocodile comes out on top. I think the chameleons cannot do enough individually to the crocodiles that even 1,000 of them doesn't matter. I'm taking the one crocodile, and that might be a controversial take. I don't know, because it's 1,000 chameleons. John Luke, where are you going here?
This one's tough because like, how's crocodile going to get up in those trees? You know, like how's he going to see the chameleon? I don't think crocodiles have the best vision, if I remember correctly. In fact, they have pretty poor vision, if I remember correctly. They mostly smell, and so I think they're going to have a hard time even knowing where these chameleons are. It might be another situation where it's just defeat by starvation, but I don't even know if crocodiles need to eat. Feels like they'll just survive even if they don't eat something, or they could just eat dirt. I don't know.
Like they'll just bury themselves in the mud instead of dying.
Yeah, those bros are hardcore, man. Crocodiles are like the most hardcore animals you can find, or reptiles you can find. I'm gonna go with crocodiles.
One crocodile, which means the crocodile will be moving on. But Coop, where is your vote?
I mean, dude, if you're talking about the long game here, which you're suggesting that these chameleons get up in the trees, they have no interest in fighting this crocodile, which I'm not even sure how you would get them to fight the crocodile.
Yeah, I don't know what they would do. They would just die.
They would just.
It seems like any attack would just kill them and not the crocodile.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, like, crocodiles live like 50 plus years, and chameleons can't live more than like 10. Right? Like they're little lizards. So if you are playing the long game, there's no question. I mean, unless this crocodile gets sick, and nothing worse than as the Grinch song points out, there's nothing worse than a seasick crocodile. Am I right? But like I just don't see, like, against the snapping turtles, it's you could go death by 1,000 chameleon bites, 1,000 cuts, but I don't think that's taking down a crocodile, man. The crocodile might outweigh 1,000 chameleons. They can't even like get on top of them and like suffocate them. So I just think it would just be a very slow and nutritious and long life for a crocodile, just eating chameleons routinely. So I got to go with the crocodile on this one. It's a
Crocodile moving on to the next round, which means our final matchup is 50 Komodo dragons versus 1 crocodile. John Luke, you've got the first vote here. Which way are you rolling?
50 Komodo dragons or 1 crocodile. I'm going with crocodile. Those things are terrifying.
Horrifying.
Komodo dragons. Oh man, 50 of them. No, I'm going Komodo dragons. 50 Komodo dragons. 50? No way. No way. No way.
Yeah, I'm on your side on this, and the reason being is that you put too many Komodo dragons in the bracket. There's too many of them.
In hindsight, yeah, way too many.
They're honestly huge, bro. They're way bigger than you think they are. When you see the picture, like Google big Komodo dragon, these things are huge. Bro.
You should have seen. I started with like 50 Alan Lazards, and then I was like, nah, 25. I was like, nah, 15.
Yeah,
12.
15 Lazards.
Just kidding.
It's tough. It's a tough game, dude. I think we might have underestimated the ability of the Komodo dragons here, because 50 is too many. I think crocodile wins against 5, 10, 50. Not gonna happen, bro. Give me the
just getting overwhelmed.
Give me the dragons, bro.
I think 1-on-1, the Komodo dragon wins.
Wow.
I think a singular Komodo dragon in this bracket would have been a contender. Would have been a contender.
I feel like its primary attack is the venom, and I feel like that's not going to do shit to it.
No, it is wildly strong, and it rips apart its prey as well. It'll take down
crocodile. Crocodile is the strongest bite per like cubic something.
But it's got the agility. Here's something I haven't brought up about Komodo dragons yet. Komodo dragons most reptiles are not agile. Alligators, crocodiles, great at running in a straight line, but the advice for escaping one of them is to run in a zigzag pattern because they can't turn very well. There is actual evolutionary changes in Komodo dragons that are not in other reptiles that make their metabolism run more like a mammalian metabolism than a reptilian metabolism, what gives it the agility and the energy of a mammal, even though it is a reptile. So like there is true like agility bonuses here. They're comparable enough in size. 50 Komodo dragons, just taking them down. They're gonna have time for a tea break afterwards. Like it's gonna be a piece of cake for them. Komodo dragons are the winner of this bracket. 50 Komodo dragons, the king of the reptiles. John Luke Garofalo, the king of the rats, and Andrew Cooper, hey, king of the Mr. Cools. Guys, coming up, we have a Thursday Night Football prop bet draft that we are going to run through. And then we have a new game we are calling Fill in the Holes. And as always, if you've got questions for us, throw them in the chat and we'd be more than happy to answer them. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific.
Obviously, you've got a couple identities here, right? And so, Lisa Ann's here. Let's talk sports. Let's talk fantasy. What about my team? What do you think about my team? Like, that's dope, man. Like that brand you have built here is huge. And over in Switzerland, you're a big deal in Switzerland. Of course you are.
In Europe, all over Europe. But when I was at the Jersey show like 2 or 3 weekends ago, my security was shocked because every other guy legit handed me his phone and said, "Yo, Lise, can you check my lineup? Can you look on the waiver wire? I got bye weeks coming up." You're right. It's really neat how my worlds have become just this synergy between, me being me and then me reaching out to all of these different people and having this common ground that now it's like we're kind of bros when we talk about sports, right? We're just friends. We're all sharing the same heartbreak or pain. Sports is the international language.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Probably every team knows that inking starting pitchers to big deals and big money agreements is bad business. But that's the business they're in. What else are they going to do? That's what it costs to play the game. And all these pitchers realize it. I'd like to sit here and say, well, you should develop your own pitching. You should never pay these guys $25 million a year. But Ray, I don't think teams can do that. It's like the pitchers have a lot of power despite their weaknesses and despite their fragility. They still have so much control over the purse strings of these teams and these GMs and these owners. They don't care, Ray. They're seeing the same numbers we are. They know Jake DeGrom. If they sign him, you pray for 130 innings. Every team knows that, Ray. They may say something different, but they know what's going on. And Ray, it won't stop them. I mean, what do you think DeGrom gets in free agency this year?
I think he'll get 4 or 5 years, and he'll get 35 a year each, right? Paying $20 million for Drew Smyly is stupid. Paying $200 million for DeGrom is idiotic, in my opinion. Jacob DeGrom has had 14 injuries the last 2 years. Like, every part of his body, it's just, and he's phenomenal. But you can't be locked in. If DeGrom makes 25 starts, 26 starts, if he throws 150 innings, you could win your division. You could win the World Series. I get it. But if he does the other thing, which is what he's done the last couple of years, your team is so hamstrung, unless you're one of 2 or 3 teams, you can't spend your way out of that.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are about to get into our Thursday Night Football prop bet draft. For those of you that have not joined us for this before, how it works is we're going to snake draft style draft props and bets from tonight's game. Whoever gets the most right is our winner. The other two have to answer one of your questions in an impression of the choice of the winner. You guys ready to get into this?
Oh, yeah.
John,
who won the Monday one with you and Joey and Coop?
I believe I won with 1 correct.
Yeah,
I got 1 correct. We had, out of 9, we went 1 for 9 as a group on Monday Night Football.
Brutal.
It was by far the worst showing from the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show this season. But hey, you take your lumps, you learn, and you move on, right? And you figure it out. And now it's Thursday night. We're ready to get back at it again. John Luke, do you want to go first, second, or third in today's snake draft?
I want to go third.
JL wants the turn. Coop, where do you want to go?
I want to go third.
Oh, well, first or second?
I'm not going to lie about where I want to go. I do want to go third, but it's taken, so I will go second.
Coop going second, which means I've got the first overall pick, and I do not want the first overall
There's nothing
pick.
that jumps out. There's no, yeah. That's why I would like to get more value.
Well, here's where we're going to go with the first one. I love a good narrative. And the ultimate narrative in fantasy football, in the NFL, is what Tommy just mentioned in the chat. Who does Belichick focus on shutting down? Right? Like that is like the number one narrative that gets used during the NFL season is Belichick shuts down your top option and you got to figure out how to beat him with the other players. The player that he seems to want to shut down, or like in my mind, has to be Stephon Diggs, right? Like they have to be focused on Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs' receiving yards line is set at 84.5 yards on the FanDuel Sportsbook. I'm going to take the under on Stephon Diggs receiving yards, 84.5. I think he will have less. That is a high line against this New England Patriots defense, even though they haven't been great. But Coop, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like they've been better against the pass recently than they were at the beginning of the season. And a lot of these numbers are maybe weighed down by the early season struggles or the injury struggles of the Patriots.
Yes. And that actually leads into my pick. So one of the big things is that the Patriots play a ton of man-to-man. And when you do that, which, I mean, in this league, in the modern era, a ton of man-to-man is still less than 50% of the snaps are man-to-man. Most teams run a good chunk of zone, but the Patriots do play more than most teams. And when you do that, you need to rely pretty heavily on the personnel you have. They were missing Kyle Duggar for a good chunk of the season. Essentially, they've let up 8 touchdowns to tight ends. 5 of them came when Duggar was completely out. One of them came last week. TJ Hawkinson scored because Kyle Duggar tripped and fell down. Right. So I'm going to continue with that narrative, and I'm going to take the and you know, they typically say, oh, they take away your best guy, but what they've been doing this year is basically putting Jack Jones, who a stud corner they found in the draft, they put him on the top guy with bracket help over the top. Then they put Kyle Duggar on your tight end, and they say, okay, see what you can do now, right? So I'm going to look at the Dawson Knox reception total. The yardage total is pretty low at 30, but it says 3.5 receptions here is the over under. I'm going to bet under. I could see him getting 3 receptions, but I don't think he's going to have like 5. So I'm going to bet under on the Dawson Knox receptions, 3.5.
Dawson Knox under 3.5 receptions as Coop's first pick. John Luke, you got back-to-back picks now. Where are you rolling?
I do have back-to-back picks. I'm going to take Josh Allen, 35.5 passing attempts. And I'm going to take the Patriots. I think they're going to have to pass against the Patriots. Patriots' run defense has been very good. And the Bills, their specialty is passing the ball. I think Josh Allen is going to have to pass a lot in this game, and I think he's going to ball out. So let's go 35.5 over passing attempts.
JL taking the over on Josh Allen pass attempts. You got another pick though, JL. You following that path? You going to take something correlated, or are you rolling with a different prop here?
Throw those eggs in one basket.
I am going to put all my eggs in a single basket.
One basket.
I'm going to go with
pass or fail.
Over
pass or
6.5 receptions. Over 6.5 receptions.
I couldn't hear the player because Simon was chanting basket.
Baskets. Very typical morning here on the FYF morning show.
we don't usually do this to each other, but we should be doing this more often. What JL just did with the Simon takes the under on Stephon Diggs, and JL comes back and says, "Nah, it's over." That's creating a lot of leverage, boy. One of you guys is probably gonna have to do an impression now that you've set the head-to-head tone there, JL.
Yeah, I think Stephon Diggs, he is Josh Allen's guy, and I don't think the Patriots are good enough to shut down Stephon Diggs. I'll say it.
It's fair.
It's Stephon Diggs.
And there's a world where we both hit, right? He could have 7 receptions for 82 yards.
He could, absolutely.
That wouldn't be an absurd line, and then we would both be in the money jail. But Coop's right.
Coop would be doing the impression. Oh, wait, 2 people have to do impression. Damn
it. Unless we tie for first, and then it's just Coop, and he has to do 2 different impressions.
Yeah.
With my
phone. I'm clearly leaning into a narrative here that the Bills are going to have a good game, or at least it's going to be a heavy passing game here.
Coop, you're back on the clock. What you got for your next pick?
Yeah. So Jay said, Coop, while I hate the Pats, I'm digging the hoodie, wearing the throwback. The Patriots are wearing their throwbacks today. And say what you will about the Patriots. You can hate them all you want. When the Patriots actually get to wear the white helmets with the red jerseys, we can all agree that's fire. Can we not? When you weren't allowed to wear the alternate helmets, it wasn't as cool wearing the red with the silver helmets. But dude, the red jerseys with the white helmets, Trey Bone. So, and they're undefeated wearing those. They're putting it against the test this week, but just keep that in mind. I'm going to take a Patriots player, and I'm going to take a Patriots player over because I'm going to be rooting for it anyway. I just took an under. Under is kind of lame. So I'm going to take, with Damien Harris out, I'm going to take Rhamondre Stevenson over 63.5 rushing yards. So that's set at -113 on either side, over or under. So they feel pretty confident in the line they've set, 63.5. I just don't see them using a lot of Pierre Strong Jr. or Kevin Harris. I think it's going to be Rhamondre and Rhamondre alone today, seeing what he can do. And if they can get the running game go early, he could easily hit that number. He's hit it a few times this year. So give me
what was the line at?
63.5.
63.5 rush yards.
63.5. I'll be there in the stands cheering it on. Go Mondre.
Go Mondre.
Before my next pick, guys, we had a question come in here from Nicholas DiNuccio. Nicholas, thanks so much for popping by.
What's up, Nicholas?
He said,
Good morning.
He said Swift or the Gus bus. Thanks, guys. So DeAndre Swift, where we did get a report, didn't mention it this morning yet, but we got a report that he's off the injury report. So he is no longer even listed on the injury report. You rolling out DeAndre Swift or you rolling out Gus bus?
I'm gonna go with DeAndre Swift in this one. Going against Jacksonville, the matchup's a little better for him than going against Denver for Gus Edwards. DeAndre Swift coming off that injury report is awesome. That's great news. Vegas is expecting a high-scoring game here. Detroit versus Jacksonville. 51.5 is the total set by Vegas, which is nice.
Yeah. Was it full PPR?
Nice.
Did you say?
He did not say.
Did not.
So, I mean, my caveat is if it's full PPR, I like DeAndre Swift. But if it's half or standard, I would go with Gus just because they clearly like using Jamal Williams still. I think it would be insane for them to say, hey, we're 4-7. The team winning the division is 9-2. Let's just run DeAndre Swift in the ground for a couple games here to end this. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see them going full Swift, even if he's fully healthy. Like, I think it's still going to be a split. Swift is so insanely talented that he showed us he could score at any moment. So, that's always on the table, and he's going to catch passes. But if it's half or standard, I would go Gus. So I'll go Swift in full PPR, but half or standard, I'm going to start Gus.
I think you're thinking way too much about it, more than Dan Campbell does, Coop, because we just see Dan Campbell's just like win, win. Right? Win every game, win.
Biting kneecaps. Yeah. I mean, that's how Swift keeps getting hurt, I feel.
I think that's right. Yeah.
So until I see Swift back on the field with a full workload and I've got a good option, I'm going to roll with that good option. So I'm going to roll Gus bus in there. And that's just avoiding Swift. It's not that he can't do it. It's well within his range of outcomes. And this one's close because the matchup is tough for Gus going against Denver. But I think I still put Gus bus in there. And it is now my pick in this draft. And guys, I am struggling on what to do here. But I think what I'm going to do, Oop, this one will probably make you happy. I think this is going to be a close game. Ooh. I think the Patriots might even pull this one out. The Bills have been struggling recently, especially in division. They're a little bit beat up right now. They haven't quite looked like themselves offensively. I like the Patriots to cover at plus.
Take the money line, you coward.
No, if I can take the points, I'm taking the points. I'm taking the Patriots plus 3.5 against the Bills tonight as my second selection in this draft.
I like that a lot. I like it better if you would have manned up and taken the money line. But
and for my next one, I'm just kidding.
I'm taking the money line. Oh, imagine that, dude. Oh, that'd be such a power play, dude.
Double down on those lines. I'm going to take the Patriots plus 3.5 in this game. And then for my next one, man, do I go with the JL special?
JL special.
Mac Jones rushing yards line is set at 8.5 yards for Mac Jones rushing yards in this game. I'm tempted to throw some on Mac Jones getting 9 rushing yards just because those are the most fun to cheer for, right? Like those are so much fun to cheer for. One run and you hit it. I'm going to take Mac Jones. It could take 3 or 4 with the line set at 9, but I'm going to take Mac Jones over 8.5 rushing yards as my final play here. So Patriots plus 3.5 and then Mac Jones over 8.5 rushing yards.
Ooh, the thing about that is, like we talked about with JL's last bet, you got to make sure you're clearing that by a couple yards because those kneel downs at the end of the game will come back and get you. When the Patriots win. So just keep that. Will Smith in them.
Well, what was the line at, Simon?
8.5. I got it in there.
Okay. Cool.
So, Coop, you got the next pick. I've got all my picks in now. You've got 2 of yours. This is your last pick. Where are you going?
I think I'm gonna go with an anytime touchdown, and I'm gonna take one that doesn't have great odds. It's plus 220 odds here, but playing into the narrative of what I know this Patriots team does, where they're gonna put Jack Star, mega super stud star cornerback Jack Jones on Stephon Diggs. They're going to have Jonathan Jones, who plays a lot of slot, kind of keeping an eye on Isaiah McKenzie. They're going to have Kyle Duggar covering Dawson Knox, Duggar, Lenore Ryan fame, as my father pointed out, wearing his Lenore Ryan shirt on the show the other day. I think that's gonna free up Gabe Davis to potentially score a touchdown. And that's what last week I was betting that Adam Thielen would score a touchdown. He did, because of the same exact thing. That's how the defense funnels you. And the defense worked last week. They should have won that game if it wasn't for some stupid mistakes by the Patriots, some questionable calls by the referees. So I think a very similar narrative could lead to a Gabe Davis touchdown this week. So I'm gonna put the Gabe Davis touchdown on my board, even though it's plus 220, which is, if you want to bet that one at home, folks, 100 to win over 200, double your money.
Double your money, double your fun.
Double the fun.
FYF. And as my last AutoZone. As my last pick here, I'm going to take the over on the total, which is set at 43.5 points.
That's fun.
Right in line with the narrative that I'm going with my other 2 picks, which is that this is going to be a good game. This is going to turn into a good game. The Bills are going to find a way to score. I think the Patriots are going to find a way to score. Simon, I like you taking the Patriots to cover the spread because I think they'll be able to keep up in this game. 43.5. Let's go.
43.5 from JL. So the final tally of our bets that we took here tonight, John Luke took the Patriots, the total from this game to be over the line set at 43.5. He also took Stephon Diggs over 6.5 receptions and Josh Allen over 35.5 pass attempts. Coop, you took Dawson Knox under 3.5 receptions, Rhamondre Stevenson over 63.5 rush yards, and a Gabe Davis anytime TD. And then I took Stephon Diggs under 84.5 receiving yards. The Patriots to cover the 3.5-point spread. They're 3.5-point dogs. And then Mac Jones over 8.5 rush yards, because who doesn't love a good QB rushing yards prop bet? I'm feeling pretty good. I feel pretty good about this one. But Coop,
you usually do.
I feel like this could be a good night for you. You could get a Patriots win over the Bills and win the prop bet draft, and you would be gliding high coming into tomorrow's show.
I'll be wearing my throwback jersey to the game, and if all goes according to plan, I'll be wearing it. If we win, I'll wear it on the show tomorrow. We'll probably be covered in beer and mustard and stuff, but
beer and mustard. That's it's actually part of the original uniform that the Patriots had.
That's called the Andy Reid. That's the Andy Reid uniform.
The Andy Reid tie-dye.
Before we go, I want to mention, while we're talking about this topic, the Keefe sweat for this game. For those that don't know, the Keefe sweat is when you annoyingly bet that there will be no touchdowns in the game, and then you just sweat it out the entire game. Our producer Keefe likes to make that bet, and he actually hit it on a Thursday game, plus 14,000 this week. So $100 to win 14,000, or if you can find someone to let you put $10 on it, $10 to win $1,400. No touchdowns. That's hot.
There you go, Keith. You can be a rich man.
Get some action in there. That would be wild though.
It could
that happen in tonight's game.
That would suck balls because it's cold out. Like, the last thing I want to do is go to this game and have no touchdowns.
Have a Keith sweat.
Oh, the Keith sweat in the cold? No. Please no.
Guys, coming up, we've got our new game called Fill in the Holes. And as always, we are going to be answering your questions. So throw them in the chat if you've got them for us. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day because somebody was like, we have the technology to like, track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out, what speed these guys are running on the field. Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
a 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we can probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have satellite. Like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, doesn't count. Sorry. Couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And they bring up the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't.
And I can see that number live while he's doing it. Like I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
I love that. It's and not to mention that dude's trying to make the spot, and the player always tosses the ball right into his face. Right, he's coming over to spot it, and it's every other time the player just here you go. Here's another thing to juggle.
On call with Dr. Roto.
If the Giants don't win another game this year, A, I'll be shocked. But B, I'll still think that they're better than they were with Joe Judge. Much better. Because I think Brian Dable's got a lot out of this team already. And I'm seeing what this team could be. See, that's the problem with owners and general managers. I see Nathaniel Hackett and I see a guy who can't get it done. I see Matt Rule and see a guy who never should have been hired. Disaster right away. Sometimes a good coordinator in the NFL is better. I don't even say sometimes. Most of the time, a good coordinator in the NFL is better than a college coach because the NFL coordinators, they know the system. They've been there. They've played. They've been around it. For the life of me, I don't know why Eric Bieniemy hasn't gotten a job yet. Deuce Staley is going to get a job. Somebody's going to hire that dude. When you've been around the game, you understand it. These college guys come, they don't know it.
Join the show with one touch of a button. It's Sports Talk 3.0 on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We're about to get into our new game called Fill in the Hole. It is episode 69 of the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show, and to celebrate, we've got a brand new game for you guys. John Luke, you want to explain to us how Fill in the Hole works?
I absolutely can. It doesn't need much explanation. We have a bunch of prompts, and it is very similar to... You guys ever taken a test before, a quiz?
Never, not once.
You ever been to a school?
Who?
Okay, so we got these schools. They give you tests to see how smart you are. And a lot of these tests have fill-in-the-blank questions. Fill-in-the-blank questions. We are essentially answering fill-in-the-blank questions that we came up with.
Oh, I love a test.
Or someone else. And we are... That's it. That's pretty much it. It's pretty simple.
Man, the best part about school is the tests. I know people think otherwise, but tests were the best because, you could just... prepare for the test. Know what I mean? It's all the assignments that are difficult. Like all the assignments take all this time. A test, I can wait and then the night before be like, oh shit, and just stay up till 4 a.m. and then we're good. We got it. It's one night of suffering and then we're good to go.
I hate that stress because I do it every time. And
the Tycho Echo album to this day, when I play it, brings me back to college exam cramming stress. I hear it and it's the most calming, relaxing music, but I get so tense because I just imagine myself in my office or in my room in college at 2 a.m. just must keep studying electromagnetics, must keep studying electromagnetics, even though it's just peaceful house music. It's so nice. So don't play Tycho during this game is my only request.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
Fine.
We got a question from Terrell before we get into this game. He said Pacheco or Burks PPR flex this week?
Ooh, that is a tough question, my friend. We already talked a bit about Isaiah. Yeah, we already talked about Isaiah Pacheco. I know, Coop, you're a big fan of Pacheco this week. Treylon Burks is going up against the Eagles, which is a tough matchup for wide receivers. I think I roll Pacheco, and you're happy you have Treylon Burks on your bench ready to go for the fantasy playoffs. But in this matchup, man, I got to roll Pacheco out there. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, it's Pacheco for me as well. They expecting this game to be high scoring. Kansas City, Cincinnati. That should be a fun game. Pacheco's been the guy. He's been the guy since he's taken over as the main running back there in Kansas City. I think he is a better play here than Treylon Burks.
Yep, I like Burks a lot, but the over-under in that game is 52.5. So that's going to be a shootout. I want as many pieces of that game as possible. So give me Pacheco.
Illmind Jetta in here saying y'all rhyming accidentally is hilarious. Test, best, stress, electromagnetics. Yeah, it all kind of rolls. It all kind of rolls with that. That's pretty funny.
You think that's an accident, but actually this entire show is scripted. We wrote it all out. We wrote it all out in advance. Yeah.
Yeah, even this right now. This
No.
is
Yeah.
If this was scripted, those writers, I don't know what the hell's wrong with them. Like what happened? If this is what you're
keys on
writing?
edibles.
Keith wrote the whole thing. Yeah.
It's just a room full of keys. He somehow got Alan Lazard's cloning device.
That's right. Tommy writes all the rhymes, but Keith writes the rest.
We ready to get into this game?
He also wrote that awkward silence just now in there. It says awkward silence.
It says square brackets awkward silence.
Awkward silence. And then back. Yeah.
He thought of everything.
He's
And
a
it
genius.
says, Simon, shut up for just one moment is what it actually says in the show sheet. Like, I know you're tempted to just jump in and say something stupid, but hold your tongue for the first time
Keith
in
is
your
so
life.
handsome and well endowed. On to the game.
Butterfinger.
Yeah.
John Luke, you going to run this one for us? You got these
I guess
prompts?
I will. I suppose I will. All right. The first prompt here for you guys is blank will be the consensus RB1 next season. Blank will be the RB1 next season. Simon, fill in the hole.
Consensus RB1. I think it's going to be Christian McCaffrey. I think CMC will be the consensus RB1 going into drafts next year. He's going to have a strong end of the year when he comes back from injury. We've seen what he can do. It'll be CMC again, sitting up there at the top.
I also put CMC.
I put CMC as well. Yeah,
Damn
I think
it,
he's running behind.
CMC.
He'll be running behind Trent Williams. He's on a good team now. He's the best back in the league, But knowing the fantasy community and how ridiculous we behave in the offseason, it'll probably be like Zonovan Knight for like a good chunk or some ridiculous player for a bit. And then once the season rolls around, we'll just be like, oh yeah, it's CMC again.
Does Jonathan Taylor, is there a case to be made for Jonathan Taylor to be RB1 again? Consensus?
Yeah, he's hyper talented. I think there's a case to be made for him. There's a case to be made for Saquon Barkley. Like, we got some of these names. There's a case to be made for maybe some of these young guys. Like, I'm going to say it, Jalen, and you're probably going to get excited. I think there's a case to be made for Travis Etienne up there as a pass catching back, as the top running back. And like, that's not absurd, right? That he could finish as the RB1.
Said it.
Finish, yes. I don't think he'll be drafted there. I think people will be way too. They won't be half a season.
But some of these teams that don't have I think Trevor Lawrence is the answer at quarterback, whereas like it's hard to trust Jonathan Taylor till I know to be the first running back taken off the board till I know who's going to be playing quarterback for that team, because it's not going to be anybody on the team right now, right? Next year for the Bulls. So
no,
it's like it's hard to say that guy will be the first pick when we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So we all put CMC, but I think there's other names that'll be in consideration. We'll see what happens there.
All right, let's get on to our next prompt here. It's Russell Wilson is struggling because of his blank. Coop.
For this one, I put dorkiness. I think that's honestly a big part of it, dude. Like, it's hard to get on board with this guy if you're just not similar people. And it's hard. Like, I don't think there are very many similar people to Russell Wilson. He is just one of a kind, man. And if you can't get on board with that, it's going to be hard to support him, as we're seeing when things aren't going well.
I said nickname.
Russell Wilson is struggling because of his nickname,
which falls under the goofiness umbrella. I feel like it is a self-given nickname, Mr. Unlimited. It's unlimited. It's well, you're a little bit limited now, my friend. And when you walk in calling yourself Mr. Unlimited, and then you look like you've looked on that field, like, it's going to exacerbate your struggles. It's going to make them so much worse. Mr. Unlimited. God, that video makes my skin crawl.
It is pretty bad. I kind of went in a similar vein here. I said Russell Wilson is struggling because of his preference for catchphrases. Let's ride. Just keeps digging himself into that hole. Like, come on, man. You got to read the room.
Yikes.
You got to read the room. Russell Wilson, Coop, you said his dorkiness. Simon, you said nickname. I said preference for catchphrases. Let's move on to our next prop. Jeff Saturday is a blank head coach. I'll go first on this one. So Jeff Saturday is an NFL head coach.
Oh, how creative of you. You are correct.
Well,
Simon, what did you put this? Jeff Saturday is a blank head coach.
I said Disney movie head coach, Jeff Saturday. He is a Disney movie head coach. It's the eyelashes, it's the smile, and I forget who it was, Coop. I think it was you who pointed out he looks like Tom Hanks. I can't unsee it now. Yeah. I can't unsee it. He's got like that famous face. He was on TV, right? So that kind of explains it. But he's a Disney movie head coach.
I like that. What about you, Coop?
Before I get to mine, I just want to say Jails is, depending how you interpret it, kind of a bold take too. Because if you're saying he's an NFL, if you're saying NFL long-term head coach, like he belongs, I mean,
I am not, but I like where you're going with this.
Coming from the team that I root for, the New England Patriots, I said that Jeff Saturday is a fun head coach because he's willing to come out, have a little fun, joke around a little bit, actually tell you what he's thinking. He's willing to actually go back and say, I should have called the timeout there. You think Bill Belichick ever would be like, hey, I should have called the timeout last week? The dude refuses to talk about last week. He's like we're on to Buffalo. So it's fun to have a coach come in that's not your typical coach. He obviously didn't coach at all before this. So I think that's fun.
Hey, disrespectful. He coached a high school team to a 500 record, Coop.
He did.
And those kids probably had a lot of record. They probably had a lot of fun.
I had a ton of fun. Hey, dude, I like the fun move here, Coop, because he is fun. He is fun.
Me too.
Simon, we already said, Disney movie. All right, let's get on to our next one. Zach Wilson will start again in blank. Zach Wilson will start again in blank. Simon, what do you think?
I said Zach Wilson will start again in his career search. NFL QB just isn't cutting it. So he's going to have to start looking deep into the recesses of his mind. What else do I want to do for a living? I'm not saying he's going to have to make that decision right now, but he needs to start looking for what's next because he doesn't look like he's going to cut it in the league.
That's spicy. Whoa.
That is very spicy. What's his new profession going to be?
I don't know.
Locksmith.
Hollister model.
Cougar hunter. He's just gonna go out there and flirt with moms at bars until they buy him meals and then go back to his mom's house, sleep in her guest bedroom.
AKA live in the dream.
Live in the dream. Killing it. I said Zach Wilson will start again in Madden when he plays himself.
Oh, there you go.
Cool. What do you think?
I think Zach Wilson will start again in 2 weeks. Which
2 weeks.
If anyone remembers the Mike White hype train last time, it started with Mike White playing okay, Mike White saying Mike White should be a first-round pick, and then Mike White coming out and throwing 4 interceptions against the Buffalo Bills and getting benched. The Jets this week, they play the Vikings. Next week, they play the Buffalo Bills. He probably gets destroyed in both of these games, and then we see Zach Wilson again.
I don't disagree, Coop. I do not disagree, but I don't think that means Zach Wilson can cut it as a quarterback either, right? But I brought it up yesterday during Factor Flash that Mike White, we've seen him flash before, and so I tend to agree with you on that front. Tommy said Zach Wilson will start again in Carolina. Yeah,
this is just like a farm. Like the Jets are just a farm system for Carolina quarterbacks.
Keith in here saying Simon's about to have to fight with a Komodo dragon that I'm about to let loose in his house. Yeah, that's the next part of the script. All of a sudden, just you hear me like, what the and jail comes. Yeah.
Just imagine. The thing is, I'd rather fight that Komodo dragon than fight like Alan Lazard loose in your house, bro.
If you eat Alan Lazard's just trying to trap you in nets.
He knows how to.
I'm just closing my door if there's a Komodo dragon in here. Yeah.
That's all around your house. There are a pile of leaves. Like, come on, Alan. I'm not falling for that again, man.
You just got like a rug over a trapdoor, like Scooby-Doo style.
He puts a bowl of mac and cheese under like in my dog's crate. So like there's my dog's crate's in the back of the house, and I'm like, ooh, is that Kraft mac and cheese in my dog's crate? I just crawl in. Lazard slams the door shut. Gotcha, Simon.
And I picture Simon just on his hands and knees, still just eating the mac and cheese, like, oh, but still just facing the bowl. Facing the bowl.
All right, let's get on to our next prompt. The key to building a great fantasy team is, Coop, what do you think?
The key to building a great fantasy team is deleting Twitter.
Deleting Twitter.
And that's it right there.
What about you, Simon? The key to building a great fantasy team is?
The key to building a great fantasy team is staying adaptable during the draft.
I like that. And I'll say the key to building a great fantasy team is looking ahead. Most people don't do that. They just look what's right in front of them. If you look ahead a few steps, it gives you a massive advantage.
I like that one, Jail. It does give you a massive advantage.
The honorable mention to trading. That is the key to building a great fantasy team.
Nah, get off Twitter. If you should read articles, if you actually read articles instead of just like falling for hype tweets.
I don't read.
Yeah, just read articles. Sean Siegel, the guy who invented Zero RB, got it right. He left Twitter years ago, and he just continues to be very successful and good at fantasy football. And just forget all the hype and all the nonsense and all the memes. It's fun, but it'll mess up your fantasy team pretty good.
All right. And our last prompt here. The real treasure was the blank we made along the way. What do you think, Simon?
The real treasure was the mashed potatoes we made along the way.
Dude, let it go, bro. Let it go. Stuffing one.
I can't let it go. It's the first thing that came into my mind. Like I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat. It's the leftover mashed potatoes in my fridge, and that was the real treasure of this past week.
Stuffing won the Thanksgiving bracket. Also, how long after Thanksgiving is it acceptable to still eat Thanksgiving leftovers? Are these Thanksgiving moldy? Are these Thanksgiving mashed potatoes? Because we're hitting a week right now. This is official. 1 week.
It is, but they were from Saturday, not from Thursday. There was a Thanksgiving meal on Saturday, so we're not quite at a full week yet.
So yours is kind of a cheat. You cheated.
Right. I cheated Thanksgiving. I'm still eating them.
Fine. Allowed.
All right, Goop. The real treasure was the blank we made along the way.
Yes. So I say the real treasure was the Geno Smith that we made along the way.
We did make a Geno Smith. So proud of our boy, our baby boy.
Look what he's doing now.
They thought it was Russell Wilson, but the real treasure was the Geno Smith we made along the way.
The Geno Smith we made along the way. And I'll say the real treasure was the victories we made along the way. You don't need to win the championship to trash talk. Trash talk every single victory. You in a regular season matchup, you don't let them forget it.
Smoke them.
Victories we made along the way, baby.
Get them.
I love that.
Get them.
Bro, give me
fired
up.
You guys. I am
fired up, dude. I got to go back through my 2-9 teams.
Yeah,
and
suck it.
And be like,
suck it, Brian.
Well, at least I beat you, Jim.
It's best when it's a work league and like you do this like all the time, and it's someone who like hasn't thought about football in 17 years. And you beat them, that's the person you have to talk the trash to the most. Know what I mean? Make sure they know how much better you are than them.
I like Tommy's answer in the chat for friends we made along the way. The catchphrases and new words we made along the way. Sir Plant, Hogs, Milky Trebilky, Peach to Deej, oi. I love that. The Hogs. The real friends were the Hogs. The Hogs we made along the way.
Auto game.
I wish Drew Bilkey could get a starting job again, because I think that's some of our finest work is Milky Trebilky.
I don't think it's ever gotten the appreciation it deserves, Simon. That and Sam Darnold. Both of those never gotten the respect that they deserved. In fact, I saw some other big name schmuck use Sam Darnold, steal it right out from under us.
We've been saying that for years, baby.
Sam
Milky True Bilky is the dude.
Milky True Bilky.
Samaj Mapipi has not caught on yet. Perhaps Zonovan People's Night, the People's Night.
That one is good.
Catch on.
Zonovan People's Night, ZPJ.
The People's Night.
And Dustin just loves and the other one, Mike the White Savior, is not one that's catching on either. I can't get that out of my head.
Samaj
my PP.
Samaj my PP. Zach Wilson replacement theory.
Jedi said, speaking of Zach Wilson, Jedi said in the chat, he starts again in Madden because Mike White took his job.
He took his job.
Took her gerbs. Guys, coming up, if you've got fantasy questions for us, throw them in the chat. And we're going to keep talking some of this Thursday night football matchup and the upcoming matchups this week. But we want to hear from you. What do you need help with this week? What do you need to happen in your fantasy matchups to make the playoffs? Let us know. Call in on the BSN app and come hang out with us for a bit. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
The only person, I've said this to you before, who I believe back then, of all those power hitters who truly was clean, Ken Griffey Jr.
I mean, I think so when he got hurt. We'll never know that for sure either.
Nah, dude.
We've seen guys who were not big take substances.
That's true.
To get busted. So it's not about that always.
I hear you. It's just, don't you think with the way his career kind of went, you would think that he didn't take anything?
I don't think he did, but we'll never know 100%.
I'm going to keep telling myself that he didn't. The 1 year player, I mean, he's my favorite baseball player of all time. In the 1990s, Ron, as a kid, as a 5-year-old kid who plays video games and collected cards, there was no one cooler than Ken Griffey Jr. I still wear my hat backwards because Ken Griffey Jr. did it and he looked really cool doing that, wearing a backwards baseball cap. Like, he made everything the guy did looked cool. Even the home run in the movie Little Big League, it's acting, it's all, I guess, fake, but even he made that look cool. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr., you're a little bit older than me, but in the 90s, was there besides Michael Jordan, was there a more loved athlete than Ken Griffey Jr.?
Yeah, no, I love Griffey. He's one of my favorite players ever, from defensively to hitting his swing. And yeah, I would have loved to see what he could have done if he had stayed healthy, the final numbers he finished with. So no, I was a huge fan of Ken Griffey, and it's a shame though that all those injuries towards the end of his career just really limited the production he put up, but he still put up elite numbers. He was so fun to watch. So I'm a huge Ken Griffey guy.
And here's the other thing too. So 1994, the season got shortened because of the strike.
And he finished with 40 homers in 111 games that year, man. And then he had 56 2 years in a row, 97 and 98, and then 48. He had a stretch 4 years in a row, 49, 56, 56, 48, 40. I mean, unbelievable. And then, yeah, once he hit like 31, he started to miss games, 111, 70, 53, 83. So think about that. All those years that he lost, and he still hit 630 home runs, man. Yeah. So if he was clean, he would have been the all-time home run champion. Again, we're all guessing here, but you would think, all right, well, once he got into age 31, 32, that's when the body started breaking out, which is typical, right, for someone who's not using anything, whereas we saw Barry Bonds just get better with age, and we did not see that with Griffey. So look at 2001, where he's 31, he played on, look at the home runs decline, 8, 13, 20, 35, 27, 30, 18, 15 to his age 38 season. Even age 39 in 170 games, he had 19 home runs. So he probably would have definitely been the all-time home run leader had he been able to stay healthy.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. How you guys doing? You feeling all right? Figured I'd check in.
Fantastic. Feeling fantastic. Thursday's my favorite day of the week.
Number one
day of the week. Yep.
What about it?
You and Troy King.
It's the anticipation of the weekend. I don't like, as soon as we're into the weekend, it feels like not as fun. Like the Thursday, it's like, oh yeah, we got a little bit of more work to do, but it's like diet weekend, and you get football in the season, which is fantastic. So you get this nice primetime game, nice little little pregame to the weekend. It's awesome.
That's a good sell, JL. I like that because it's like, and you're not that once you hit the weekend, the clock's ticking. It's like
clock's ticking. You're thinking about the clock. Yeah,
Monday's coming. I got to get stuff. I got to get stuff done, but also have fun. You can start having fun on Thursday. You kind of sneak it in.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Coop.
Yeah, I love that. I'm in Thursday.
I'm with you guys. I love a good Thursday, and you get that one football game. I llove a game that we all watch together. Know what I mean? Instead of just the 1 p.m. game. Like, that's my favorite one. Everyone is watching the same game.
We're all talking about
time.
the same. Sunday, I can't even be on Twitter. Like Sunday, 1 p.m. It's just chaos. Nobody sees anything. Everybody's just talking, shouting into the void.
Yeah, people start screaming about a game that you're not watching. You saw one touchdown on Red Zone, but apparently there was all this drama going on in the other game. It's like chaos.
Everybody's in a kitchen where they're the only chef and they have like 50 orders. They're 50 orders behind. That's what Sunday feels like.
That is what Sunday feels like. But we got a pretty much a full slate this week. Just a couple teams on bye, 2 teams on bye, if I remember correctly, right? The Cardinals are one of them, and I can't remember who the other team is that's on bye this week. But next week, man, that's going to be brutal, week 14, because I know some leagues start their playoffs in week 14. And we've got 6 teams on bye next week. 6 teams on bye for the potential first round of the playoffs. Brutal.
If your players are starting on week 14, you screwed up, dog. You got to be paying better attention. This week, it's the Cardinals and Panthers on bye. Next week, it's the Falcons, Bears, Packers, Colts, Saints, and Commanders.
Wow, that's like all of the mediocre teams just put into one nice package.
There were a couple weeks, like week 8, there were only 2 teams on bye. Week 13, there were only 2 teams on bye. They probably should have spread it out a little bit better.
Take one from each of those. Make it 3, 3, and 4, and then we're good. Look at that math. I just did it for you, NFL. Oh, wait, you can't. You have to take 2 because of math. Sorry, NFL. I didn't do the math properly.
You shouldn't have listened to me, NFL. Why did you listen to me?
And the NFL scheduler is like, not so easy, is it?
Yeah.
Illmind Jedi in here with a question for us. Wants to know, should I start Jamar Chase or Jacoby Myers? They say
Great
Chase
question.
should be available, but said he could be good for a few snaps. Coop, are you rolling out Jamar Chase first week back or Jacoby Myers? And you have to make the decision today.
Bro, if you're the Bengals playing against the Chiefs, the game's heated, how are you going to keep Jamar Chase off the field, dude? I think I still like Jacoby Myers isn't going to play 100% of the snaps either. He's going to play like at most 80. Like, I'd rather start part of Jamar Chase, hoping you get full Jamar Chase than Jacoby Myers. Even as a Patriots fan, even as a big Jacoby Myers fan, we know who he is. Slow, low A-dot, possession receiver. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not that I don't think you can start Jacoby Myers. I think he's a perfectly fine start, but I'm rolling out Jamar Chase for the upside. I know he's going to be limited, but Coop, you talked about it. That matchup is juicy, and the Bengals want to win this game. They want to come out there and beat the Chiefs. So I'm going to take Jamar Chase in this matchup, but it's scary starting a guy first week back from injury who's said to be limited.
There were people who played this game with there are people that played this game with Josh Jacobs and didn't start him last week because he was nicked up. There were people that didn't start TJ Hawkinson the first week after he got traded. Like, sometimes you just got to go with the stud and hope it pans out.
Yeah. The match are kind of factor in here too, where not only is the player talent, Jamar Chase is just not even in the same planet as Jacoby Myers, but on top of that, you got the Chiefs, which is very good defense for wide receivers in fantasy football. Buffalo Bills, not so good.
Not so good. I'm with you guys. I am with you guys. I had a question for you guys about a guillotine league strategy as we're getting down at the stretch here. Maybe you guys can help me out.
Still in it.
I'm still in it. I'm still in the guillotine league. But here's the conundrum I'm in. After week 14, the waiver wire locks. There are no more additions to your team, period, after week 14. The team you have is the team you roll with, right? So my question here is, I've been rostering one quarterback and one tight end pretty much the entire season. I've got Josh Allen at quarterback, George Kittle at tight end. One of those guys gets injured during the playoffs or during the backstretch of this season after week 14, I'm just screwed. I just lose. Do I give up bench spots to roster a second quarterback and a second tight end, knowing that there are no more waiver additions after week 14?
Okay, so who do you have to drop? Can you give us an idea?
So the bottom players on my team, I've got AJ Dillon on my bench, would probably be a drop candidate. And then the next worst is either Brandon Ayuk, Allen Lazard, or Juju Smith-Schuster. So probably Juju or Allen Lazard as the guys at the bottom of the bench.
And who are the tight ends available?
Well, I've got George Kittle on my team. As far as the tight ends available, there will be more next week, right? But the tight ends available, we've got David Njoku, Gerald Everett, Cole Kmet, Tyler Higbee.
Go get Njoku. Go drop Lazard. Go get Njoku. Or Lazard, or there's another name in there that I would be fine dropping. AJ Dillon, I'd be fine dropping. Especially as in guillotine, like you're not going to start AJ Dillon.
No.
Right? Like you're down to what? How many teams? Like 4 or 5 teams?
I think there are 6 teams left, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's 6 of us left in this league.
Way more starting. Like there's way more running backs that you should be able to start there. I would get Njoku, get that upside with
who are the other tight ends available though?
Cole Kmet, David Njoku, Gerald Everett, Tyler Higbee, Hayden Hurst are the names sitting out there on the tight end waiver wire. I have 0 fab, so I have to wait for the scraps. I have to wait after it's been picked by the other teams.
Damn, you had the most when I left.
Yeah, and then I added Saquon Barkley, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey,
Chris Olave, Stephon Diggs were all waiver wire additions for my team.
That's hot.
You got to go that way. The only thing that sucks about that is that, like, George Kittle, playoff week 1, week 15, he has Seattle. Best possible matchup. Week 17, he's got Las Vegas. Another great matchup. Week 15, he has Washington. That's the second best team versus tight end this year. Not a good matchup, right? So week 16 is kind of the problem for your boy Kittle. David Njoku happens to have New Orleans that week, which is the only matchup that's worse than Washington. So you're gonna set yourself up with 2 tight ends that have literally the 2 worst possible matchups in that 1 week. But I just don't think there's anyone else that's good enough from that mix to consider over him. You know what I mean? So you still you got to go with talent.
Does Njoku? I mean, he's a tight end, but he's also pretty receiving heavy. Like, does any of that get a little bit alleviated where he's acting more as a receiver than a tight end against the Saints?
I mean, Kittle is a receiving tight end, and I just bet on the under on him versus New Orleans at a hit just this past week. They're good, man. DeMario Day. It's not even necessarily about it's about the personnel that's going to cover him wherever he goes. Whether he's in the slot or not, he still has to deal with Demario Davis. Tyrann Mathieu isn't going anywhere. Marcus May isn't going anywhere. Like, these guys are just roaming the middle of the field. So I don't know how you're going to escape those guys. So it's just,
you're going to tie their shoelaces together when they're not looking.
Now that's the move. Yeah. But I think you still just start Kittle in that situation, but at least you'll have Njoku in case he gets hurt. But just it's only in case Kittle gets hurt, because Kittle has better matchups than Njoku straight up.
Yeah, I think Kittle is the type of player that you're starting if he's healthy, regardless of matchup. He's I'm fine with that move. And I think Njoku is far and above the rest of those guys you listed who are available.
Yeah, it sucks that Njoku comes back. Njoku and Goedert, they both come back from injury to nightmare situations. So Njoku week 16 gets the Saints. The very next week he gets the Commanders himself, which is the second best team. So kind of rough.
Yep. And then I think I was leaning that way, guys. Like, I just had to pick up a second tight end and a quarterback. I don't want that to be the reason I lose. Like if Josh Allen gets injured, I don't want to just be screwed. And at the quarterback position, there's a plethora of options on the waiver wire. We're talking Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Tom Brady, Trevor Lawrence. Like, I'm not worried about having a second quarterback. I'll take my pick of the litter. Hopefully I can get some Joe Burrow on there. That would be pretty nice to pair with Josh Allen as a backup quarterback. But it goes against what I want to do to have that second guy at each position on my team, right? And it hurts having to drop some of these players that in a regular league would never find their way to the waiver wire.
Oh, you got a solid squad, and I'm hopeful for you, Simon. I'm rooting for you.
We'll see.
Tommy in the chat asks, which wide receiver do you like tonight in DFS for New England?
Ooh.
Jacoby?
Nelson Aguilar?
Aguilar. Yeah, I don't know. I think I still like Jacoby if you're going to start one of those guys. But he's going to be pretty heavily owned. He's going to be pretty heavily rostered. It's got to be either Devontae Parker or Jacoby, in my opinion.
Where are you leaning, JL?
Yeah, I like the Parker move. I don't know. I was going to try and look up their salaries here. I can try and pull them up. They look like on FanDuel if there's a difference. I'd go Jacoby if they're at all close. There's a big discrepancy than Devontae Parker.
Yeah,
Parker looks good. He's just never like he runs into these matchups and he goes away. Like Trey White, not a good matchup for him.
Yeah, I feel like this isn't a good one for that.
Aguilar got a lot of targets last week, but you got to remember that the Patriots don't usually throw as much as they did last week. They threw 42 times. The over-under for pass attempts for Mac Jones this week is like 32. So with 10 less attempts, that's, that's 2-3 fewer attempts for pretty much everybody. So.
Jacoby Myers is sitting at 11,500.
$11.5 million. Wow, dude, that's going to be a little too expensive.
I was like, did I hear that right? Or am I the one that's tripping?
Wow,
11,500.
We are struggling this Thursday. 11,500 for Jacoby Myers. 11. I don't know. I think because I'm used to like 9,500, 8,500, 11,500 for Jacoby Myers. And then the next wide receiver is Devontae Parker down at 8,000. So it's quite a bit of savings. And then Tyquan Thornton is actually the next one at 7,500. So it goes Jacoby Myers, Devontae Parker, Tyquan Thornton. You guys got any juice on Tyquan Thornton for tonight?
Wish he just played a little more. He only played 20 snaps last week.
He's been not returning. He hasn't been doing anything. I was hopeful whenever he had that little streak in the early beginning of the season, but it hasn't turned into anything yet.
I'm gonna make it official here. I like Devontae Parker. If Jacoby's gonna cost $11 and Parker's only gonna be $8, then give me Parker.
Yeah, the 11.5 is just a little bit too much.
It's a little.
Myers. Just if it was the 10.5, I might be willing to throw him out there.
10.5 billion.
10.5 billion.
But would you got any heat on Devontae Parker in your flex or in your MVP spot as the 1.5x guy?
Nah, dude. If you're gonna go any MVP on the Patriots, it's got to be Rhamondre Stevenson. You got to get Jumanji Stevenson in there just because there's no Damien Harris. The backups are kind of meh, and it's not like you're going to start Mac Jones. And they just spread the ball around too much to pick any of the wide receivers. So if you're going to start a Patriot, it's the best Patriot to start is probably like Nick Folk.
Man, it is. I'm looking at the slate and like I think it goes back to what we were talking about with the first overall pick in the prop bet draft about there not being a standout prop that like I wanted to take. I feel the same way about the MVP here. Like Rhamondre's probably the guy I'm feeling the most confident about in that MVP spot. But outside of that, like it's pretty meh. Like, do you want to put Josh Allen in there? Is it a scratch night where you go with the top quarterback? Stephon Diggs, we're worried about getting covered by that Patriots secondary. Mac Jones, you're probably not wanting to put in there. It's a wildly tough matchup for Devin Singletary. I just don't know where else you would go. Maybe Gabe Davis, like you brought up earlier, Coop. Maybe this is a Gabe Davis in the MVP type of night. It could be a 2-touchdown game for Gabe Davis if they're locking down Dawson Knox and Stephon Diggs. I just talked myself into it. I want a Gabe Davis MVP lineup going out tonight.
Throw it up. Let's do it. This is kind of crazy. So I looked up their target shares on this Patriots offense, and I was like, all right, Devontae Parker, let's see what his targets look like. On the season, 10.7% is his target share. Last 3 games, 9.7%. So that's very bleh for a wide receiver, especially wide receiver 2 on this team. Jacoby Myers has the most in the season, 19.5%, 16.1% over just the last 3 games. And so his target share has gone down a little bit, but Jacoby Myers is the main guy there. Number 2 is Rhamondre Stevenson with 18.6% of the target share in the season.
Wow.
In the last 3 games, 25.8% of this team's target share has gone to Rhamondre Stevenson.
Got to get him in there, dude. Jumanji game.
That is wild. He has 8% more target share than Devontae Parker, the wide receiver.
The Rhino is now catching passes. You didn't think the Rhino could get more terrifying, but now suddenly he can catch. He's piercing that ball on his horn and charging through the defense.
He has 3 less targets than Jacoby Myers, the PPR king that we all talk about. 3 less targets on the season.
And who has more rushing yards?
That's a good question. I don't know.
It's probably Rhamondre Stevenson if I had to guess. That's me just saying Rhamondre Stevenson's a great start.
Yeah.
Like if he is getting that level of targets, if he's being similarly targeted to Jacoby Myers and that running game on top of it with no Damien Harris, you got to get him in there. How high is he in your rankings this week?
I mean, we do kind of ignore him, but like think about, do you know where he is in the season without looking, Jail? Look at this screen, not that one. Yeah, exactly. Do you know where he is in the PPR season long standing?
Rhamondre Stevenson?
Yeah.
It's gotta be RB 12.
Better. RB 9.
Better.
RB 1.
7.
RB 8 on the season.
RB 8. I skipped right over it. That's the worst.
I know you screwed up, dude.
Yeah, I mean, like I wouldn't have guessed that probably had you not asked the leading question. Know what I mean? If you asked me to write out the top 8 running backs, I probably would have left Mondre out of there. But whenever you say it, it makes sense. I don't even question it for a second. Based on what he's done over the past 5-6 weeks with Damien Harris out.
And I mean, if you think about it, Aaron Jones has a bye week still. So he, points per game, he's ahead of Aaron Jones. So 7 wasn't that crazy wrong, even though it was bad and it was wrong.
Jay in here said bench Singletary in a tough matchup. Singletary's been killing it for fantasy recently. This is a tough matchup. The Patriots giving up the second fewest points to opposing running backs. Coop, are you benching Singletary tonight?
I once again have a caveat. This is what keeps us in. This is what's going to keep us employed is that there's always something. Man.
Caveats.
Always different
There's
angles to look at. You know what I mean? Today, it's not the boots on the ground that I had against the Jets when it was super windy. But, I mean, I think people are forgetting how important Christian Barmore is to this defense. And he did go onto the IR a week or two ago. So there is a bit of a hole in the defense. Maybe not as stout of a run defense as they typically are. Dalvin Cook did okay last week, right? So yeah. I don't think you go too crazy avoiding Devin Singletary. But if you have a better if you have equal options, it is a tiebreaker. They are still above average, but they're missing one of their better run stopping linemen.
Isaiah Pacheco versus Cincinnati or Devin Singletary tonight against the Patriots?
I think he's still
ask it again.
Isaiah Pacheco versus Cincinnati or Singletary tonight versus the Patriots.
Oh, PPR, assuming.
Yeah, let's assume PPR. You're going to go Pacheco. What about you, Coop?
Oh, man. I kind of feel like maybe you still go. Let me just pull up my own rankings for this because I forgot how I even ranked this. I think I still got to go with Singletary on this one.
Going with Singletary on that one.
No, I don't know. I think I would go Pacheco. I do have Pacheco ahead.
I've got Pacheco in there as well. What about Ezekiel Elliott versus Indianapolis? He's been splitting work with Pollard or Devin Singletary versus New England.
Zeke looks so good this week. Why do he look so good? I think I'd go Zeke.
He is good.
I think I'd go Zeke.
What about Jeff Wilson Jr. against San Francisco or Devin Singletary against New England? So another tough matchup for Jeff Wilson. Trying to find this line, trying to sniff it out.
Yeah, those guys are all right in there, bro. Those guys are all right in there.
I think 49ers have a very good run defense. So Bosa boys. Bosa boys are tough. I think I'd go. I go Jeff Wilson.
Jeff Wilson. What about you, Coop?
I still have Wilson.
That's the
line.
I'll go,
but I would start Singletary over Gus Edwards. That's the line.
Yes,
for me. That's
too.
The line for me.
Okay, we found it. It's somewhere between Jeff Wilson and Gus Edwards. Is that line for where we're starting Devin Singletary? We had a question in here coming from Jay. Jay said, "Who should I start between David Montgomery, Jeff Wilson Jr., Jalen Warren, Gus Edwards, and Isaiah Pacheco?" And that was instead of Singletary. So we said a couple of those names. I think it's going to be David Montgomery out of all of those for me. What about you guys? So Singletary, Montgomery, Jeff Wilson Jr., Jalen Warren, Gus Edwards, and Pacheco. I'm rolling David Montgomery out.
I have Montgomery.
Take Warren out of there.
I have Montgomery like borderline RB1, bro.
Yeah, I think Montgomery is the play here.
That's the guy.
Yeah. We got to go Montgomery.
Solid matchup against Green Bay. Very solid matchup.
And then Scott Fish came in here with a question. He said, Knox, Tonyan, and Dulcich. His son has Knox slightly above the other two. But while he's in school, I figured I'd ask the tight end whisperer himself. And he said, yes, his son does do weekly projections. So tight end Tinkler. Are you going with Dawson Knox, Robert Tonyan, or Greg Dulcich?
You know, I'm not as good of an analyst as Ian Fish. I'll say that right up front. He's
of course
super mega star within this industry.
Water
but I will weigh in with what my research has on this. People aren't going to like it. They're not going to like it. Now, the thing with Robert Tonyan is that he does not play the full snaps. He has barely ever played more than 60% of the snaps, and that just crushes your upside. It truly does. So, his quarterback also has a broken thumb and broken ribs. Not super interested in Tonyan, so I have him ranked last out of those guys.
Same.
Dawson Knox, I could see why the projections would skew Knox if you're just looking at how the the overall Patriots stats as a team versus the tight end. But you have to keep in mind, I've mentioned it multiple times in the show, that they've let up 8 touchdowns to the tight end. 5 of them came when Kyle Duggar was hurt. One of them came last week when Kyle Duggar tripped on a play that he would almost always made. Even the announcers say that he would have made the play if he didn't just trip. I think Knox is going to have a hard time today with Kyle Duggar. Yeah, dork. Whoa, hold on, dude. Don't disrespect Lenore Ryan like that, bro. My dad will come at you, dog.
Go get my Lenore Ryan.
Lenore Ryan, the premier university of the state that it's located in.
That's right. Somewhere in the
You're disrespecting the whole state that school is in.
Right?
Yes, the whole state of Nebraska.
The whole state of one of the Carolinas that I don't remember.
There it is. Oh, yes, North Carolina.
North Carolina. Lenore Ryan, Carolina.
I'm going to get a sweatshirt just for Papa Coop.
Come on and raise up. So
I wonder if they have a merch shop. Probably not.
For me, as much as I don't like it, I'm still starting Greg Dulcich. He's a converted wide receiver that plays a lot of wide receiver snaps. He runs a lot of routes. KJ Hamler's hurt. Jerry Jeudy's hurt. The Baltimore is a place where you can still make moves as a tight end. I still am going to go with the upside of Dulcich over those two. So
Kyle Hamilton's back.
Kyle Hamilton is awesome, but I don't think that's going to be the end of the world for Dulcich. I think I'd rather go Kyle Hamilton versus Dulcich than Dawson Knox versus Kyle Duggar. Though Dawson Knox, just like anybody on this team, when they run that RPO, which is basically cheating, whoever they decide sneaks out to the side scores a touchdown. So that could be Dawson Knox scoring that touchdown today, but Knox is just almost never cracking 50 yards or whatever, where I think Dulcich has that opportunity with the high A-dot routes he runs.
That's fair. I will lean Knox here just because I think this game is going to be higher scoring. And I think that Knox is more likely to get a touchdown as the Buffalo Bills tight end than Greg Dulcich is, with Russell Wilson throwing to him against Baltimore defense, which is decent. It's decent. Yeah. Definitely weaker against tight end, but the defense as a whole is good. And I don't think this Denver offense is good. I know, hot take, but I'd lean Knox here. They're both in the glob. This is a touchdown dependent move.
Jordan in here had a question for us. Wants to know, should I bench Dalvin Cook versus the Jets? I've got Rashad White, Miles Sanders, and Pacheco to fill in. There's some great options available to fill in, but Dalvin Cook's a better option. I'm going to keep rolling out Dalvin Cook, but man, your bench is loaded. Nice job on the waiver wire with some of those guys. What are you thinking here, JL?
Yeah, it's still Dalvin Cook. Still Dalvin Cook.
You can't bench
Rashad White, man. He's getting up there though.
You don't bench Dalvin Cook, bro.
Don't.
Bro, how many running backs do you just not bench? Saquon, no matter what. Austin Eckler, probably. Josh Jacobs.
Derrick Henry.
Christian McCaffrey. Yep. You just play him. Jonathan Taylor. You just play him, right?
Yep.
Don't get cute.
Travis Etienne.
No.
Mixon for sure. If he's
Mixon, if he's healthy, he's playing. Yeah.
Those are the boys. Rhamondre Stevenson, obviously.
This week, for sure.
But also, kind of.
Absolutely. Jordan saying, thanks, fellas. Thanks so much for coming in with your question, Jordan.
Good question.
I appreciate it. Also, Tommy says, Jail, before we sign off for the day, we deserve one more Jail Komodo Dragon.
that was the best one yet, because
I felt that one.
That one, the only was each time you've kind of added something. Like first you added the arms, then you added the tongue. This time I really felt the eyes. Like I felt like you were coming out. I felt like you were.
I backed up. Did you see me? I backed up a little bit.
Give you my poison.
I could see Alan Lazard in the eyes, dude. Like you were coming. You were coming for him. So, oof. That's me.
Jordan said I benched him last week and it paid off. So now I'm overthinking. I get that feeling so hard in fantasy. It happens both ways, right? Where
Dance with the devil, and you made it out clean. don't do it again.
Exactly.
We all know how that story ends.
Exactly. Don't chase it. It's like when Keith hit on the 0 touchdown bet. It hasn't hit again yet this season. Know what I mean? He might have kept on chasing that high, but it's not going to happen. Watch, I say that now, we get a no touchdown game tonight, and Dalvin Cook shits the bed. But
imagine Kush's out there in the cold for nothing.
Oh, God.
3 hours,
Please,
3+
God,
hours.
No. You know what, though? I'm out there. I'll be out there with my boys, dude. 50-yard line, drinking beers. So,
are you going with the boys with the whole story from before?
No. We couldn't afford these tickets.
The jacket.
I'm going with my buddy.
I'm forgetting all the details now.
I'm going with my buddy from school. Yeah, that was my buddy where his pants froze, and my other buddy wore the. He thought he had waterproof shoes, but they were water shoes.
That is the best.
And I was wearing the full yellow suit that, like, the full yellow rain suit, and they were calling me Perfect Storm, and like they were calling me like Christopher Robin and stuff.
What's that? It was like the salt thing with
the Morton salt.
No, I'm thinking of Paddington Bear.
No, they were 100% everything. Paddington Bear, the Morton Salt Girl, like
the man in the yellow hat from Curious George.
Nothing was off the table.
Nothing was off the table.
But I was the only one that was even remotely warm, and I was freezing. But those guys were dying. So yeah.
What's the weather forecast tonight?
I don't want to think about it.
You're gonna
Christopher Robin is such a good thing to call somebody.
Dude,
it's just such a funny insult.
Yeah, these kids are so stupid, but when it comes to being mean, they're geniuses.
They're just
it's just how it works, dude. Yeah, it's supposed to be 35 degrees, not too windy. So 35 is fine. You can do layers with the cold. You can do layers.
Is it a dry cold?
There's no escaping. Yeah, it's not usually that. There's no escaping the wind. There's no escaping the rain. That's the problem. So when that game was slating, like it was literally ice daggers coming down. I got to go back and clip that story because I totally forgot I pulled that on here.
You got some hail there in New England.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, the hail, actually, we don't really get hail the way you guys down there get the hail.
Oh, sometimes the hail, we'll just be sitting in the living room, and then all of a sudden there's golf balls raining down from the sky. It is terrifying. Like truly, like you look outside the window, and you're like, that's not allowed. That's what is going on with the weather.
Maryland gets like the extreme of pretty much every season, so we probably don't get hail as frequently as you guys do, Simon. But when we get it, holy shit, it's crazy. Just insane.
I remember one time when I was a kid, my mom, we were watching some family friends, younger kids, and I think the girl was like 4 or 5 years old. She was just learning her letters. And my mom, being the teacher, is always like looking for an opportunity to teach. And she'd never seen hail before, and she's kind of freaking out. And so my mom's like, Grace, how do you spell hail? And she looks at my mom in the eyes and goes, I ain't spelling that bad word, ma'am. She was Southern, and she said hail. Hell no, I ain't spelling that.
That's good, dude.
It's like one of my favorite stories ever. She was 100% genuine in that regard. Also, Scott Fish coming in here just with the smile. He's up in Minnesota. He's like, you guys don't even know about.
We don't know nothing about no hail.
He's
like, you can go to hail.
I felt my toes in 3 months.
That's because you always have broken legs.
Guys,
you're wearing that boot.
I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us this morning. And JL, I want to thank you specifically for gracing us with that Komodo dragon impression. It's brightened my day, and I know it's brightened the chats as well. We are going to be back tomorrow morning from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time, like we are every single day for the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show right here on Better Sports Network, breaking down that Thursday night game and looking ahead to the weekend as well. Right after this, we've got Moose and Keith coming up, followed by Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru. And then Corey, Nando, and friends are around to answer all of your toughest fantasy football questions. Until tomorrow, though, we are out of here. Enjoy your Thursday night football, and we will see everyone bright and early tomorrow morning.